We are live on HBCU Coaches Corner, and I am the co-host Rocky Miller, along with Stephen Campbell, the bishop himself. And for the man you all came to see today is our featured host, which is none other than the swag legend himself, Johnny Cole. Before we get started, Coach, I got to ask you this. How you doing, Coach?
Man, I'm doing great, Coach. Got to watch some great football, record-breaking weekend. Got an opportunity to my debut on HBCU Go as an analyst, man. It was fun. It was enjoyment. Man, I'm ready to get this thing going. A lot of football this past weekend. A whole bunch of football was played.
All right, Coach. Hey, Mr. Campbell has a treat for us today. He has a treat for us. He scheduled something very special for us. Of course, you know it's Rattler related, And so with no further ado, Bishop Campbell, go ahead and bring on your featured guest.
Well, first of all, before we bring on that guest, Coach, we had a big weekend of football.
Yes.
Now, I would not be the bishop if I did bring a little bit of praise into the show today. So every week we're going to have Bishop Campbell's praise report. And we're going to actually praise some of the coaches that we have been featured right here on HBCU Coaches Corner with Johnny Cole. So the first praise report, Coach, got to go out to that Coach Keaton and those CAU Panthers. Got to give them that praise. Them boys didn't win a game. Did not win a game last year and came out and with a big win against Fort Valley State. So praise to Coach Keaton and those CAU Panthers. Now you know the next praise. We got to go down to Tallahassee, Florida, because we brag different. They said they didn't know if they could coach down there, Coach. Well, all I know is that we the only ones that's 2-0. So we got to give a little praise to Coach Cozy and Coach Henry, who once again has shown that the strain don't stop and the great play calling for 2 back-to-back drives to bring that win back down to Florida A&M and brag. So another praise report. But the last praise, Coach, is going to be dear to your heart. Labor Day Classic down in Texas had lost about 10 times. New coach, a lot of people saw him on the show because we got feedback. Oh, he's not a motivator. I don't know if he's going to be the coach. I tell you one thing he did. He motivated those guys to beat their rival Prairie View at Prairie View. Convincingly. So we got to give a praise to Coach Chris Dishman and those Texas Southern Tigers, because once again, it's not how you present yourself, is what you present to your team. And clearly he had those boys ready to go, and they were fired up. And now, I'll tell you what, with that being said, Coach, we got to say a few prayers for a couple of people.
Yeah.
Now, one of the teams, since we talk about the Labor Day Classic, now, Coach, me and you were on another show listening, and those people from Prairie View had a beautiful show, had the players on, and the fans were ready to go. Coach, they're gonna need a prayer. They're gonna need a wing and a prayer because they lost a big game down there, Coach.
They were talking about buying tickets to the SWAC championship game.
Coach, they got T-shirts made. So I'm gonna say a prayer. I'm gonna say a prayer for my nephew Lionel that he don't waste his money and those T-shirts got to go to Africa. Now you know them people tapping will take them T-shirts. Hey, but we're gonna say a prayer for Prairie View.
Close down your computer, man. Unplug all the wires, man. Go do something else. You know what I'm saying? Because that's over. That's done.
That's over. Now the next prayer I'm gonna say for this goes to my nephew Perry White. He was on the Off Script show last week, and he said that playing McNeese was a must-win game. Well, clearly they did not get that memo. So I'm gonna send a prayer out to Southern and Coach Gray, because he didn't find out that was a must-win game, and they took that L down there, and they still look like they're going to have issues with their quarterback. So we're going to say a prayer.
May I add one other thing to it?
Absolutely.
They still can't score no points.
Still can't score no points. So we're going to pray that they'll go down to Jackson in a few weeks, that they'll score more than 7. So we're going to say a prayer for them on that. And then last but not least, this is for my Jackson folks. And this is only a certain group of y'all, but we're going to say a prayer for you all that are question TC Taylor's play calling. Just relax, okay? I'm going to say a prayer for y'all. The team is not a super team. They got a good team, but TC Taylor's a great coach. He's going to show you what he's going to be able to do. So all y'all, just relax. I know the mass meeting had y'all believing that y'all were going to beat that FBS team, but just relax. All you see is still in front of you. So please, y'all get on that social media, slow down. Allow your coaches to breathe and all that. So now with that being said, go ahead, Coach.
Tell them to bring their questions to us, and we can get them answered on the real.
There you go. Because only the coaches come right here on the HBCU Coaches Corner with Johnny Cole. Absolutely.
Right.
Now, with that being said, we always talk about supporting HBCUs, our players, and our sports. I am proud to introduce my classmate from freshman 88, Eli Patrick, to talk about the FAMU NIL and the great job he's doing with our players, and talk a little bit about it.
Steve Campbell, president. Y'all call him Bishop. I call him president. he was the president of our freshman class, and he continues to do great things down there at FAMU. But let me first give my accolades to you guys for doing this show. HBCUs don't get enough attention. We don't get our credit. So I'm glad that you gentlemen have this show. Y'all have this forum, to be that voice for the HBCU schools. So I appreciate y'all. I'm glad you guys are having me on the show. So I appreciate that. But most importantly, thank you, Prez, just for having me on the show this evening.
Well, we wanted to have you on because one of the things, and Coach Cole has talked about this, the big thing at our level is supporting our athletes and NIL. You yourself, with your nonprofit, have stepped up to basically sponsor several of our football players. And I want you to kind of talk about the organization, the nonprofit, the work that you're doing in the community, and then talk about the players that you are sponsoring through your nonprofit, through an NIL deals that they have.
Yeah, first a nonprofit is called the Patrick Youth Development Foundation, named after my father, who is still with us. Thank God. Give people their flowers while they're still alive. But basically, what we do is we mentor youth and young adults to be leaders in their community and amongst their peers, because everybody works with disadvantaged youth, which is a good thing. But what I want to do with my military background, I'm a retired colonel. I want to teach our youth how to be leaders, and then if I can influence that one or two individuals, then they can influence their peers and the people around them. So that's basically what our foundation does. And I do it on all levels, starting at the middle school level, working with the high school RTCs and with the college RTCs too. And now that has spilled over to working with our young athletes through this NIL. So not only are we compensating these players, which they need, but also I'm mentoring them to be leaders on their teams and with the different sports. Because like you said, that NIL is the driver. We lost upwards of 4 to 5 of our best players last year to NIL deals at some of these other schools. So what I did is I tried to step in and offer some of these NIL deals to our athletes at Florida A&M. And I've actually been doing it since April of 2024. I mean, we've compensated, we got about 8 players. I think that was the question you asked. We got 9 total athletes under NIL and the Patrick Youth Development Foundation, and 8 of those are football players. And we've compensated players, a decent amount. I don't want to disclose exact funds on the call, but we've compensated. I say it's competitive with other HBCUs, but nothing like a Power 5. But then I want to say this early on in doing it. You got the Patrick Youth Development Foundation, but you've heard of the FANG Exchange. I have players under contract, and then the FANG Exchange also have a few players under contract, but I work with the FANG Exchange to offer them that 501c3 coverage, because once you get in a certain tax bracket, it's nice to have that tax deduction in there. So I provide that coverage for the FANG Exchange. So we work together on that.
Eli, tell us some of the players that are part of your NIL collective that you're working with right now.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, we got the big boys now. If I only have if we were a Power 5 or one of those PWIs, they give money to everybody. But since we have a much smaller budget, we got the guys that are number one, they're leaders on and off the field, but also, they got to show excellence on the field too. So with that, we got Kelvin Dean, last year's MVP from the Celebration Bowl. We got our preseason All-American. Also, I think Player Watch for SWAC Player of the Year. You got Kendall Bowler, and then we got to keep the big boys happy on the offensive line. We got JG. I got Big Goss is on the NIL contract. Also, Ashton Grable was one too. And then on the other side of the ball, we got James Ash, who normally holds it down in between the ends. He's one of our tackles. And then I got 2 of the defensive ends on contract. We got Alan Smith, and then on the other side, got a new face to the school. We got Davion Westmoreland, big kid, man, about 6'4", 6'5", 255. So he's coming off that other edge. But then, got to have a little speed. Got a new guy in, got a FSU transfer, Goldie Lawrence. He's under contract also. So we got players all over the field, man, and these are some impact players. But like I said, these guys aren't just good on the field, but they're showing a lot of leadership on the team.
And tell the people what they're doing for supporting your nonprofit organization.
Yeah, well, we got them doing some community service type activities. Our biggest event is one of the FSU former players, Marvin Wilson, I believe is his name. 8 of our players, all the football players, they worked that camp, and they would not be able to do that if it weren't for the foundation, if it were not for the donations that some of the alumni have given. We worked that camp, and that camp was free for the youth in the Tallahassee area. And Marvin Wilson said it himself. He said they didn't expect to get the turnout. Man, we had about 150 kids out there, and they would not have been able to do that camp if it weren't for those players from FAMU. Got them talking to high school teams, and then just posting things on their social media about leadership and things of that nature. So got them doing all 3, social media, doing camps, and doing appearances at the local high schools there in Tallahassee.
Rock, I think you were about to ask the question.
Yes, Coach. I am very interested in the NIL. First off, Colonel Patrick, I want to thank you for your service. I'm a military man myself, and so I appreciate you coming on and continuing to be a leader not only in the military but also in the community. What I want to ask you about the NIL situation, because this is one of the things that I always I'm interested in. Do you guys select players based on coach's recommendation, administrator's recommendation, or do you guys use your own, selection process to evaluate and select athletes to be part of your collective?
Yeah. First and foremost, with my foundation concentrating on leadership, the players that I pick have to show leadership on and off the field. So I'm able to do that by talking to the coaches, and I'm also able to do that by looking at their social media. Because before I'll sign anybody to a contract, I'll look at their social media and I have a conversation with them, and I let them know, say, hey, you got to, if there's anything that's questionable on your social media, you need to take that out. You got to have high character, and you got to be a leader, like I said, on and off the field. But I do stay in tune with the coaches, because they know what players are the leaders, and they know which players are show excellence on the field. And when I say excellence, I mean touchdowns, tackles, things that. There's a limited amount of money. We're going to use that money wisely. And, I hate to say get a return on investment, because that's not what it is. But if we're going to spend our dollars, we got to spend our dollars wisely. And as more dollars come in, then we'll be able to get more players on an NIL contract.
All right. Let me ask you this. This is another question.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about collectives at the HBCU level, and, there are lots of areas of need, we know it at a lot of HBCUs. How does this area of need compare in relationship to other areas of need, whether it be facilities, whether it be training table, whatever? Where does this, as a priority, where does this factor into specifically FAMU and their overall development of their football program?
If you've been on, if anyone has listened to Coach Cozy, he's been on several, YouTube shows, talk shows, and things of the nature. And he's also talked to the boosters, talked to the National Alumni Association. He will tell you the number one need and the number one thing that he's going to do is take care of his players. And what his players need and what they ask for is NIL deals. That is one of his number one priorities. And that's why I started doing NIL for the players in April of this past year, so we wouldn't lose any more players. So I basically do whatever. I try to help the coaches first, which in turn helps the players. And NIL is right up there. Now, if you go to some of the facilities of our HBCUs, you will see there is definitely a need there. So what I will do, and what we need our alumni to do and all the supporters of HBCUs to do, is do just like with my personal finances. And I am not perfect by any means, and I'm not a millionaire by any means. But I basically budget to say, I know we need money for the School of Education, the College of Education at FAMU. So I'm going to give them a little bit of money, but I'm also going to set aside a little bit of money for NIL. And then I was an ROTC, so I set aside a little bit of money for ROTC. So what we need alumnus to do is they need to set aside the money for all of it, because we need all of the above. But the priority, I go based on what the coach wants. Because if we don't support our coaches, then, you know, we've already failed. So if the coaches say the priority is NIL, then when I do that budget, the majority of my funds is going to go to NIL.
Quick question, and again, thank you for your service. This is Johnny Cole. Look, I got to answer the question probably what some people on the show is watching. NIL name, likeness. Do you go get it from companies? This funds from companies? If you could break it down, you know, and maybe, you know, some people here probably want to maybe donate or working somewhere where they can help you as well.
It's all about your network. You know, this solely on the community, but raising funds for NIL was totally new to me. So obviously I started with my close network. I happen to be a member of the Divine Nine. I'm a member of Beta Nu, which is the chapter, the Alpha Phi Alpha chapter there at Florida A&M. So I started with my frat brothers. I know they're tired of me beating them up for money, but you know, I started there, you know, and then like Steve, you know, hit up the class of 88, the freshman class of 88, you know, talk to them about donating to the NIL. So basically I started with my network of friends and my network of organizations. And now that I've seen that I need to sustain to try to get the players through the season and to try to establish a base of money for the spring and recruits and things of that nature, now we've begun to reach out to companies, local companies first, but, you know, it'd be nice to get in touch with some of the national brands. But basically, it really in that order: friends, organizations, and now we're trying to get funds from companies and sponsorships and things of that nature. But I tell you, that has been slow go, just like, you know, for most HBCUs. We're not getting, you know, we're not getting enough support from the alumnus. You know, I think they can do a little bit better job. I love our fan base, but they cheer a lot, but they haven't really dug deep in their pockets yet. But we really haven't, you know, done a really good job of getting funds from our local companies and any national brands and things of that nature.
Right.
Eli.
So you guys are more of a collective than actually the NIL.
No, I'll try to explain that again. As 9 players under contract. That is the Patrick Youth Development Foundation. And what they do is they go on their social media, and when they're talking about leadership and when they're doing things in the community, they are technically raising funds for me. But the majority of those funds are actually going to the players.
And they're using the players' names.
Image and likeness, exactly. So like, let's say Kelvin Dean will go on social media, he'll say a quote about leadership, and then he'll ask individuals to donate to the Patrick Youth Development Foundation. So I'm not the collective. Our collective is the FANG Exchange, and I am just providing the 501c3 coverage for the FANG Exchange. Let's say a company approaches the FANG Exchange and say, hey, we want to represent Kendall Bowler. And then they talk about getting a tax break on those funds that they want to use for Kendall Bowler. Well, then they have to say, well, I want a portion of my funds to go to the Patrick Youth Development Foundation so I can give some of those funds out for scholarships, give them to youth groups and things of that nature. Because that's my foundation's purpose, is to, you know, to provide those funds for these youth groups and other organizations. So that answer your question, Coach?
Yeah. I'm glad you came out. So, you know, we got some real dedicated fans that check, so they can get an understanding and they can go back to their prospective school and actually start up programs like you're doing for FAMU, you know, in where their community is at.
Yeah, and really it's a race. You know, I love my other HBCUs, but I talked to Steve, I talked to Bishop, and I know that JSU is doing a pretty good job with their NIL stuff. Whoever's winning the NIL race will start being the better team you know, in the SWAC and in the MEAC. So it's a race, but I want everybody to win. You know, I'm not the game, obviously. You know, I want the Rattlers to win that, obviously. But you know, when HBCUs win, we all win.
Let me ask you this, Eli. If what would you say to a supporter, a donor in the FAMU family that says, "Hey, these guys already get a free education. Why should we incentivize them to come to FAMU with money or opportunity to earn money?"
Okay, I'll answer that two ways. The first one, I'll give you an example. You just, let's say a regular college student is on full scholarship, you know, full academic scholarship, but then they want to go out and tutor another student and get paid for it. That's always been allowed. That student can go make money using academics, what they got a scholarship for, to make money. So what's different from an athlete being on a scholarship and then going out and getting compensated for their name, image, and likeness and earning money that way? So the NIL basically leveled the playing field for athletes and college students. And my son was a college athlete. He played football at the Air Force Academy. Good thing was he was at the Air Force Academy and they got compensated because they were cadets. But if you look at the schedule of those athletes, they don't have time to go out and get a part-time job. They you know, so they need other compensation. And now if you look at competing with some of the Power Fives and the PWIs, they're putting players up in apartments and they're, you know, compensating players you know, before NIL. So basically we have to do in order to compete and to get these athletes. So I don't see any issue at all with compensating players as athletes.
Can I piggyback off of that?
You probably can answer that better than me, Coach. You go right ahead.
Well, you know, these same athletes play on national television. They raise all this money for commercials and everything, and the kid gets none of it. He goes out, he jeopardizes his life, his health, everything. Everybody, he makes those people feel good on that Saturday afternoon, and then he goes back to the dormitory, you know, where he can't get nothing extra. And then everybody else run out with the money. The NCAA is a $1 billion company off the backs of, let's just say it, football and basketball players. You know, the greats. They're getting these $1 billion TV packages off these children. I'll call them children. You know what I mean? From 17 to 21, 25 years old. And they were getting nothing. So now it's time that they get out of that and start helping these kids go, because some of these kids get hurt during their college years. You know, their careers are over. You know, they got to get out there and try to make it on their own. So, I mean, this is great.
I just want to take a quick break and let everybody know out there in Radio Land, we're doing an interview with Eli Patrick, retired colonel, in the military in the
Army Reserves.
Absolutely. And we're talking about the NIL nonprofit for FAMU that he started, the Patrick Youth Development Foundation. You're listening live on CBS Sports Radio Central Texas. And now I have to ask you this. This is something that I think is essential, I think, to the framework of football all over America, Mr. Patrick. Tell me, I want to know, why do you think in some regards there's so much pushback to NIL amongst some of the I know that coaches like Dabo Swinney have openly spoke out against NIL and things like that. Where do you think the pushback is coming from, in your opinion?
Yeah, you broke up just a little bit right at the end when you mentioned Dabo Swinney. Am I coming across clear? Because you broke up just a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. What did you say about Dabo again?
No, I said, what I guess, what do you think? Where is the pushback coming from? I see this as an opportunity to help kids, right?
It is.
But you have guys like Dabo Swinney who vehemently push back against the NIL and collectives. And where do you think that is coming from, just in your opinion, since you've been in the space?
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. You know, the first word that comes to mind is just it's haters. Just like people were hating on Dion and the things he's doing. He's just trying to help the program, help kids. He was trying to help, HBCUs. It just seems like they're hating. And then, and it's just my opinion. It's just funny to me how someone that's making hundreds of $1,000s and millions of dollars don't want the players to be compensated. Because just like in the military, I wouldn't be a colonel without my soldiers. What are you the colonel of if you don't have soldiers? It's like Coach was saying, you're getting millions of dollars from TV deals. We're not seeing some of that money, but we get a little bit. But I honestly don't understand. I think the haves want to continue to be the haves and the have-nots continue to be the have-nots. That's the only logic that I can see why someone would not want a player to be compensated for putting their bodies on the line every day. And that's every sport. That's not just football.
Well, let me kind of speak from a coach's standpoint of view. But I'm one of the coaches that I don't mind the players getting paid, but some coaches are selfish about that. But it's like they're losing control of their football team and their program. And, you got kids jumping from place to place to place, and one would say, oh, well, coach, if you get another job, you move, but it comes down to being able to teach, the game of football, loyalty. We raised this kid, let's just say for now, right, like at Clark Atlanta University, coach, they had a kid that threw 7 touchdowns this week. Mm-hmm. What is the chances that he's going to be back at Clark next year? Because somebody going to come in and buy him off. The thing that I do sometimes, because they've made it freelance for the kids, nobody talks about the kid that loses his scholarship. You know what I'm saying? That don't or haven't developed as fast as some of the other ones. So it's a lot of kids that are stuck like that. So, with good, there's always some bad. I believe the kids should get financed. I don't know if they should put a cap on it or put it across the board. I don't know. That's something that everybody still should, still trying to work through it, So I was just giving you a coach's standpoint of, that's why Nick Saban came and went on to retire. Now, one would say, come on, Nick, you've been paying the players anyway. You know what I'm saying? I get it. I get it. All they've done now is just brought it out and say, go pay them. So my thing is, then let the NCAA come in and help out some of the Florida A&Ms, the 1AA programs to make sure that they got money to pay their players as well. I understand the NIL. To me, that's for the best players. But the collective, I think it should be able to go to all the players. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, let me speak on that collective, because that would be the goal. Because I live in Phoenix City, Alabama. My next door neighbor actually plays for Auburn University, and all the players get paid. That's just how they do it. They give them a salary, and it's based on performance. I mean, or potential, because they give those incoming recruits that they know is going to start, like Cam Coleman is from my local high school. They know Cam's going to be the man, so he's going to get a higher NIL than my next door neighbor, who's still going to get an NIL. But that collective is going to spread that money, like you said, across the whole team. Because if I'm not mistaken, I'm not an expert like you guys, but I believe Texas A&M was the first one to do it, and they jumped all over him. I think it was Fisher. They jumped all over him for doing that. But then what did every school do? They started a collective. every large school now has a collective, and now the HBCUs are basically playing catch up. And I saw a comment come across the screen earlier that the HBCUs will never be like the Power Five. Well, we know that, and we're going to give the money to the players that deserve it. And for my foundation, for the players I pick, like I already give my criteria. Got to be a leader on and off the field, and you got to show excellence on the field. And those are the players that will earn an NIL deal. and they need it, man. I'm telling you, I can tell you some stories, but I'm not on this call. But I can tell you some stories where these players call and tell me, hey, coach, some of them call me coach, and then they'll let me know why they need money and can they get in advance, and my heart goes out to them because I got 4 kids their age. So, man, we really just need, I ain't gonna lie, man. I'll just be real with you. We need our alumnus to step up. They just, everybody's saying it's a money grab, but everything I do is for those kids and for those young men and for those young women. And alumnus and these local businesses just got to step up. There's really no other way to put it.
I wanted to bring something to everybody's attention why this is so important and why what Eli is doing with the Patrick Youth Development Foundation and with our players. First of all, these guys are actually giving back to the community through his foundation. So this is not like Auburn, just go out there and play. One thing about, and I will say this to everybody from the HBCUs that are trying to put a collective, we know we're not going to be able to give people $100,000, $200,000. But you know where it balances out is to Eli's point. If we can give the players enough to cover some expenses, they love being at FAMU. They love being at Southern. They love being at Jackson State. They love being at Prairie View. So that's how we win that over. But we have to be able to have the ability to just, as Eli said, just enough where look, these guys say, hey, you know what? Just for me to go out and get something to eat extra, just so I can wash my clothes, just so I can pay a car note. So what I'm looking to do, and this is my challenge too, and again, it doesn't make a difference if you go to FAMU. I'm looking for 1,000 of our folks, and this is going to go all out, to just do $10 a month to the Patrick Youth Foundation. Just $10, just $10,000 a month total. It's tax write-off. $10 tax write-off. Think about that. That you can support the players for Florida A&M, so we can even get more players. Because what we want, and I'm going to say this, we had players that left FAMU. I won't say their names because they had every right to, but they're not even starting at those places. They're not going to get the quality education that they could have got at FAMU, and they're not going to get the love that they're going to get from the alumni that you get from HBCUs. So what we're trying to do is start, like I say, many other schools, is start small and work our way out. And like I said, Eli, I'm proud of you. Like I said, this brother, and I'm going to say this is me on my soapbox, my 88 soapbox. This brother been tight and been a stand-up brother since he was 18 years old. Now we 54 years old, and to see him from 18 to 54 shows you what an HBCU could do for you. So, brother, I salute you. I'm proud of you. I appreciate you coming on. So once you give everybody the information how they can get in contact with the Patrick Youth Development Foundation and also the Fang Exchange.
Yeah. First of all, I got to give you your shout out too, because you have definitely been a day one. Me and Steve met. I think the program was called Tops, and that's before you start your freshman year. Me and Steve, he was a true day one. We remember sitting back in Gibbs Hall, just getting to know each other before school even started. I mean, it was in the middle of the summer. So I mean, Steve and Steve has led our freshman class. I think we've raised, how much money the freshman class raised, Steve?
Man, we are at $100,000+, and our next goal is to raise $500,000. That's our next goal, to go $500,000.
Yeah, I wish I had your fundraising agility and
well, that's what. Hey, man, that's why I'm bringing it to the people, man. We about to do the same thing here because we got to support. And like I said, and this is me. And like I say, and Eli just say, every time a coach comes on, the first thing I do is, coach, what we need to do to get you some more money. Yeah. That's the first thing. And Coach Cole will tell you, we've had people that are already contacted Coach just because of this show. So Coach Cole brings a lot of gravitas to this. So we wanted to start with FAMU, and we'll bring other people on, but we got to start with FAMU first. So that's why I want to make sure.
Yeah, let me answer your question too before something happens to the internet service and it goes down or something. Yeah. But the easiest thing to do is just go to my website because it's patrickydf.org. That's PATRICK.YDF.org. And what they can do if they go to the donate button, I have different initiatives and causes that are there, but the athletes, support. Yeah, because I don't go to that site a lot myself, but it's support our athletes, I think is what it says. And if you click on that cause, then you'll donate to the athletes. And just like Steve said, if you just want to do $10 a month, a reoccurring charge, or if you just want to do a $25 one-time donation, a $50 one-time donation. And I try to tell everybody I talk to, really, truly, every you know, every dollar counts. I mean, every single dollar truly counts. So don't feel like, oh, you know, I got to give $1,000. No, we'd love to have your $1,000, but even if you want to give 10, we are definitely not going to turn it away. And that's patrickydf.org.
Well, Eli, we appreciate you being on. We'll have you back on in the middle of the season, probably, you know, right before homecoming, to get that homecoming push to get those guys in. And because the coach is going to be recruiting players, we want people to know that we've got one of the strongest NIL and supporting a great nonprofit organization like you. So we really appreciate you coming on HBCU Football Coaches Corner with Coach Johnny Cole. We really appreciate it. And my freshman brother, y'all, just let y'all know that.
Yeah, man. And you know those Rattlers gonna strike again, baby. 2-0,
they mad. They mad. We don't want 2-0, baby.
I gotta say that. Yeah,
I knew that was coming.
Raise our blood pressure. Yeah, they raise our blood pressure, but they put it. We're winners, man. That's a good thing, man. We're winners.
Oh man, that's a great interview with retired Colonel in the Army Reserve Eli Patrick, and also the Bishop's 1988 freshman brother.
That's right.
I want to do a quick station ID. You're listening to HBCU Coaches Corner on CBS Sports Radio Central Texas. You can catch us on the app at Centex Sports 1. You can catch us online at centexsports1.com. Hey guys, we got to get into what happened this past weekend, guys.
Time to get into it.
There were upsets. There were surprising performances. But what I want to start off with is the vaunted money games. Not the Hunger Games, the money games. Is there anything in these group of money games, and we can go right through it if you guys want, but I just wanted to say there was a lot of money being made last week. What do you guys think about these money games?
Because that second one now, I think you short about 40 points.
I am. My bad.
They still scoring up in Arkansas.
I heard that the UAPB coach came on the field talking about we put our hands on like the coach now, not the players. And they said they went back in before the game, and they said the coach from Arkansas, I know the running back coach very well. I coached him. He said the coach told him, I want to score on every series. And they scored 10 times in a row, coach. Wow. 70 to nothing. Well, that's what they are. They're money games, coach. Some of the scores is not as bad, in the 40s. That's kind of where you need to be at. But looks like we all kind of scored as well, but not much. So that's what they are, coach. They money games, man. But, coach, let me say this, too. This has been going on for years, coach. I remember when my brother was in Nebraska, late 70s, early 80s. Nebraska would play like a team called Pacific and beat them 70 to nothing. But Pacific would run off with the money. So we really, just now in the 2000s, starting to, get this money. Here's the issue, though. And I'm going to put this out there. When I was at Texas Southern, we played Rutgers. They gave us $450,000. Okay? So what am I saying? If some of these guys, that was 14 years ago, Bishop. So that money should be up, shouldn't it?
And that's the great argument. Are we really getting the value for our buck? Right. Now, Grambling, I believe, is playing a money game. I think they're playing Ohio State. Is that correct? And they're getting $1 million.
Okay. That's where the money should be when you're playing them top 25 teams. Rutgers, Arkansas, UAB, they should be in the 3s to 4s. South Florida, same thing. Auburn, 9 to a meal. If you ain't getting 9 to a meal, when Alabama played Georgia State a couple of years ago and gave them $1 million. If Alabama can give Georgia State $1 million, then they should be able to give one of our HBCU teams $1 million. And
well, Coach, you know what?
Getting that type of money, then you cheat and you prostitute yourself.
Let me tell you, Coach, you just made me think about something. Because you just said about Nebraska and Pacific, right? But here's the thing: what these, especially these Southern SEC schools, know, they got to fill their schedule, right? So it's better for them So let's just say we'll use Auburn, right? Better for Auburn to play Alabama A&M because they're going to get more people at that game if they would instead of scheduling Troy or South Alabama.
Right.
They will get more. LSU plays Southern and Grambling, and those games will sell out. Think about that.
Right.
They'll sell out. If they would schedule what Jackson State play ULM or Louisiana Lafayette or McNeese, nobody would come to that game. But their fans want to see us.
Right.
And see the pageantry of the HBCUs.
And they want to see that band.
Exactly. So to your point, Coach, we actually earned that money because I guarantee if we did not to belabor the point, but I guarantee we did a quick analysis is that HBCUs probably have a higher sellout percentage or attendance percentage versus the 1AA counterparts of PWIs. I bet you money.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, guys, because this is what I want to. This is what I wanted to kind of talk about, if I could. Could UAPB play Howard in Little Rock and make that kind of money?
No.
Not at all.
So Grambling couldn't play Norfolk State in Nashville and make that kind of money.
No.
Well, but see that exactly because now you're talking about. So let's just like the Southern Heritage Classic. Look at what they're not paying teams $1 million. Why do you think FAMU left the Orange Blossom Classic for just that very reason? They said, "Hey, that money's too low, and we're going back to Miami for $700,000."
Now
they need y'all, Coach, and we'll talk about that.
Well, Southern Heritage need Jackson State, but here's some of the problem too. Number one, the money never goes back to the football program directly. All right. Number two, when you travel, you damn near have to cut your roster because the administration want to bring all their people. All right. So that's always a problem. Number three, you don't schedule it up ahead of time so you can get a deal. A lot of times, guys, is you got to work your magic. You know what I mean? You got to know how to deal with people. You tell them what you want. You don't let them give you something. For instance, when I was in Texas Southern, we actually stayed at the Westin Hotel at home. All right. It's during off season. We coming in on a Friday. As you know, Campbell, you're a businessman. 9 times out of 10, you leaving Friday, going back home. So they need people in that hotel. So I did a 3-year deal. As long as I was a coach there, we could stay there. And they gave us the room, and we had to pay for the food. You know what I mean? And then they charged me about $70 a room at the Westin now.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they treated us good. Well, as soon as I left, the team moved back to, some small hotel out in the city. You know what I'm saying? And that's because they didn't understand the deal. You got to make a deal. You know what I mean? Look, these hotels want to fill those rooms up. And you gotta understand that. I told Rutgers, you guys want us? I need the $450, and they paid for my buses, because we had to pay for flights up there, So it's about the deal. You always talk about it, Coach Campbell, about these athletic directors and these people that have experience in that. And when you don't have experience in that, they're gonna take you for what it's worth, And if these teams right now, when I look at all these guys, ain't sitting at 350 above these local schools like South Florida, UAB, UNLL, ECU, I wouldn't play them. Because some of that money, by the time you travel there, pay for holes and everything, you could have stayed at home and got that money right there. And I think that's what you're talking about, Rocky. But if you travel, Rocky, some of these black schools, HBCU schools, don't travel like your Southerns and your Florida A&Ms and your Jackson States. They don't travel like that. You were just down in Miami, Rocky, at the Blossom Classic, right?
Yeah.
Him and them 8 people.
Was it well attended?
No. I mean, it was a great environment, but it was about 3,000, 4,000 people there in that huge stadium. It looked horrible in the stand. Well, I sent you guys pictures, so you guys know what it looked like.
Right.
And it just, it's one of those situations where I'm gonna be honest with you, Mr. Campbell. If FAMU doesn't play in that game, the Orange Blossom Classic is gonna be history. With the poor attendance that it received this year, I don't know the business aspect of it at all, but I know if 3,000 people in Hard Rock, I know that's a losing proposition.
No, wasn't that game just between Bethune-Cookman and Florida A&M?
No. That's the Florida Classic. So just real quick, and Coach, you remember this. The Orange Blossom Classic, actually, Jake Gaither started it. And what Florida A&M would do before integration, will basically the best other HBCU team would buy them because we couldn't play in the Orange Bowl. We couldn't play, they wouldn't allow us to play. So we created our own classic, which is the Orange Blossom Classic. So we played Jack State, historic game that we played Jack State. We played Grambling. We played Morgan State. We played South Carolina State. We played all the historic teams and brought them down to Miami. And I think that went from the late 40s all the way to the mid 70s, as far as what that was, 78, I believe. I think it stopped. Then we brought it back to make it more of an HBCU type classic. That died out. And then Kendra Bullock, who's a FAMU alumnus, said, hey, this is something for the culture. Let's bring that back. And it lightning struck. This is when Dion came in with Jackson State. FAMU just came to the SWAC. The SWAC said, you know what? This is good for our conference. Let's play this game. Let's get on national TV. And then it was the Orange Blossom Classic was reborn.
Now, I do understand the ratings were pretty good for the game. I do understand that.
TV is hurting. And let me say this. HBCU football averaged more fans than the lower Division I-A schools, the mid-majors, like the MAC. We average more fans than them. So don't think that we don't have it. We do have it. And I've always said this from the time I walked foot on a black college and went through a season, and is we got something special, Coach. The pageantry of the game, the pageantry of the fans, the band, how the kids dress, the head coaches. We have all that people want to see, but we as Black folks got to embrace it. We got to embrace it. And we got to love our heroes. Just like the Space City Classic game, when I first came to Texas Southern, it was the first game to sell out at that time, the Astrodome. As you want to know what the Astrodome is, it was the first football field that was in a dome, that was inside. All right. Grambling and Morgan State sold out Yankee Stadium. First ever. They sold out Yankee Stadium. So you're talking about old game, Bayou Classic. We somehow have screwed that game up. You know what I'm saying? So we've been there. We got to keep Rocky. We got to keep the adults out of it somewhat and leave the tradition in it and continue to play these games. Because now the Southern Heritage Classic, which was one of the biggest classics. When I was at Tennessee State, coaches, it's 60,000. When I was there, we played in the Indiana Circle City Classic. Another 42. I think it was the Black Man Classic. The one in Atlanta with Tennessee State, we played Florida A&M. That was another Coach Bishop? 40, 50,000?
Easy. 50,000 plus.
And the adults had got involved and not taking and doing right by the money, and we destroyed those classics. So the only classics left now is State Farm, the Magic City, Texas Southern Prairie View Labor Day, that still is well attended. And you can say the Bayou Classic. It ain't like it used to be. When I was at Southern, it was 70,000 when we played back in the early 2000s when I was with Pete. The late 90s when I was with Pete, Coach Pete Rich. So it's there, and hopefully that these guys got the funding from these schools they play in. If not, if you ain't gonna pay me, I really just, like you just said, Rocky, play one of these other teams. They can come to my house and I can make 100. Because it ain't what you make, it's what you clear. Ain't that right, Coach Campbell?
Hey, the net is always more important than the gross.
I heard Alabama State went to they played UCLA and it cost about $400,000. to travel, and I think the paycheck was $600. So they came back with $200,000. That ain't too bad, but they should have came back with a whole lot more.
All right, these were some other key matchups. I wanted to get those money games out the way because they are a separate entity in of themselves. They weren't even competitive, so I like to look at these games. This first game was something we were able to see on ESPN. Jackson State and ULM. My thoughts on the game were, I believe that Jackson State has a good team. I believe they do have a good team. I just believe that ULM is a FBS school, and they had FBS talent, and they were deeper. And over the course of the game, they were able to impose their will on uh,
Jackson State.
Jackson State. My issue is that I think Jackson State and their fan base had unrealistic expectations coming into the game, which led to the disappointment that you see throughout the fan base at this time. Now they're saying TC Taylor can't coach. But at the end of the day, I think expectations for how they were to fare in that game was completely unrealistic. What do you guys think?
You want to go, Coach, or you want me to?
I'll let you go, and since I'm a Jacksonian, I'll go. I'll talk from the Jacksonian part of it.
Well, first of all, Coach, TC Taylor called a great game. Of course, the object is to win the game, but his numbers was good. He met the average of third down at 45%. He threw the ball well. He threw for 286. He definitely got to get the run game much higher. But again, you're playing against the Division 1A. The problem here seems like the defense. ULM kept the ball 45 minutes. That's a lot of minutes, Coach. And the quarterback, Coach, he was something like 22 for 28, something like that. So it wasn't offense. And so and because he's the head coach, of course, he falls in the middle. So to me, it wasn't real bad offensively. It was just bad defensively. And that's my 2 cents.
So this is my thing, and I want to be clear. This is not all JSU fans, but again, what happens is, I've always said this: you have a group. So there was an expectation that was put out there, and I teased my nephew Zoe about the talent versus ULM. So there were some people that they felt that they could win this game. For me, it didn't matter if they won or not. It's like what you said, Coach. Did they execute? I saw the offense execute. I think the defense has to work on it. But I think what happened with a lot of times is when we start saying the talent we think we have, people are going to listen to what we have to say. If we say we got 44, 3 stars, more than them, then people are going to say, well, that team, we got more talent. And that's what was said in the lexicon, that was said in the atmosphere. And then you had a group, and I'm not saying a big group, but there was that 10% out there. Well, we had more talent. Why didn't we win the game? Must be the coaching. And I definitely saw that because I saw it. I saw it in chats. I saw people having shows talking about it and things. And I saw Jackson State people arguing back and forth, literally on Twitter today, which was amazing to me. So my thing is, again, when you play these games, and we know that these teams are not always going to be equal. And I'm just going to say there is no super team in the HBCUs this year. There's no FAMU 2023, Jackson State 22, 21, Grambling 16, 17. We got a bunch of good teams. There are no great teams. So for anybody to think that we're going to really win any of these games this year, this is just not the year. So that's my thing with that. So that's why I got kind of concerned is when I did see some of that little bit of discourse. Again, it's not majority of Jackson State people. I think majority of Jackson State people that I talk to, because I always say this. I don't talk to people that are on Twitter. I talk to people who actually live in Jackson, who work at Jackson State, who are Jackson State alumnus, and say, hey, we're ready for the game, and we know what our goals are. So that's my thing like that. But I did find that interesting. I did see some of that discourse that was kind of talked about that, oh, we should have won this game, and, and some of the coaching decisions that Coach Taylor made. So that was interesting because, like I said, I think Coach Taylor's an outstanding coach, and I think Jackson State's going to have an outstanding season.
Yeah, I share your sentiment, Steve. But I think, when you talk about super teams, maybe not, but I think there is a team out there that's just a cut above, and that's just my opinion. I didn't get a chance to see this game, but Tennessee State dominated this game from start to finish. Matter of fact, that 21 points that you see there, that was all garbage time, and Tennessee State dominated.
Well, Tennessee State is better than this. They've dropped all the way down, Coach, to playing all the bottom teams in the SWAC. It's a shame. It's a disgrace. Tennessee State was by far, if you was a coach in them times, the best black college football job in America. Why? Because they get to play both sides. They get to play the PWI school, and they also used to play the top schools in the SWAC. Florida A&M, Jackson State, every year. Now they've down to the bottom half of the SWAC conference. They play the bottom half of the SIAC, Rocky. They don't play Lane College. Lane used to be the armpit, Coach, of the SIAC. You know what I'm saying? Since Coach Brown there, he's made a jump. Mississippi Valley, come on. They don't even have full scholarships. You're just searching for wins. They're trying to do everything they can for Coach George because they don't spend all this money. And I know it. One would say, don't nobody know who you played in the first half of the season. They just want to make sure that you win. There's some truth to that, but we are football people. Come on, Bishop. Tennessee State playing Mississippi Valley, Lane College, some Division II team they still got on their schedule. That ain't the Tennessee State that I know. But hey, a win is a win. You pay a man, he's the highest paid FCS job, right? He's the highest paid. And he's coming into his 4th year and he's playing the bottom school in the conference. He playing them just to get a win. Let's make that straight. Just to get a win. That's bad. That's bad. And Tennessee State fans, if some on here, y'all know that. Coach, when me and my brothers at Tennessee State, Coach, Florida A&M, Jackson State, Middle Tennessee State, Tennessee Chattanooga, Appalachian State. Tennessee State didn't have to play them type of teams. Never. Till now. They'll do anything to get a win now. But that's my 2 cents, Coach. Next.
All right. Now, like I say, this next game, I got a chance to watch it going down the stretch. It was a really hard watch, guys. I'll just say this. Southern defense played decent, but there's some really bad special teams plays. There was some really bad offense in this game. It was just really, really bad, man. So I believe Southern had every chance to win against McNeese, and it would have been a win against a team who hadn't won a game in over a year. So this is a horrible loss when you think about it. It's horrible. What do you think, Steve?
Listen, I've told the Southern people, and I think the Southern people are not going to like me for this whole year. I told them, we talked about Southern not having any offense. We talked about they did not bring in the dynamic playmakers. And I think this is what you're going to see a Southern team all year long. I've been totally honest with you. Again, Southern has not done anything to me either behind the scenes or in front of the scenes. Coach, we know a lot of people down there that's going to do anything impressive. And like I said, I wasn't shocked. Perry White said this was a must-win. Clearly, this wasn't because they still alive down there. So, and then the next must-win against Jackson State. Then the next must-win will be against Prairie View. So, again, Southern, Noah Bodden, he did not do well. I think he threw like 108 yards, somewhere around there. Again, the offense did not look good. Running game did not look good. Like I say, McNeese, it is what it is. Like I said, Southern, we're going to know what Southern's all about in the next couple of weeks. Because as they say, they plan to win SWAC games, even though that conference game against Jack State is not. But we're going to know when they go up there to the vet what their season's going to be all about.
Now, I just want to address this before we before Coach Cole addresses the Southern game. Now, Johnny, since when does the gate doesn't factor into the viability of an entertainment event, which is a football game?
When does the gate?
Yeah. He says, how do you know if the OBC needs attendance in that stadium to be financially solvent? Tourism generates more economic impact than the local people driving from 200 miles away. My point is the game itself, to operate that stadium, there's a cost involved, right? All those people there that were operating the security, that security apparatus there operated as if it was an NFL football game. That security was locked and loaded, tight as can be.
You
All
know
those
what?
people got to get paid. Go ahead.
Let me take that, because I think what Johnny T, and I think that's Johnny T. Here's the difference. ESPN Events owns all the bowl games, right? The postseason bowl games, and they need that for programming. So you'll see a lot of those bowl games. That's why the Celebration Bowl can outdo the Doritos Bowl, right? Looks like 9,000 people, because ESPN pays for that, because they need that TV slot to say advertising. This game is not like that. They actually do need people to come and stay, because remember, they're not getting big money from ESPN like that, where ESPN is covering all the costs, like the Celebration Bowl and things like that. So for an orange spot, exactly, SWAC Me Egg Challenge, ESPN pays for that whole thing. So if one person doesn't show up, guess what? They still gonna be in the black. This is not like that. So this is what you're talking about to be viable, and what they're doing as an organization that runs that game. Yeah, they need people to come through the turnstile. So those are things that Johnny T, unlike a postseason bowl that ESPN owns and says it doesn't matter if 5 people come or 50,000 people come, we're going to pay for the bowl to run because we need that to be on Thursday on December 23rd just to fill up our bowl schedule. This is not the same. So I think that's where the issue comes in at, where for this particular game, they do not get the TV revenue that will cover the expenses for the bowl.
Yeah, I didn't realize that with the SWAC MEAC Challenge that ESPN owned that game until I seen, all the documentation in the press box said this is an ESPN events property.
Correct.
And so it was more about, in this case, it's more about the TV than it is the actual attendance on the attendance of the game. Though the SWAC MEAC Challenge was very well attended by FAMU fans, but anyway, yeah, I think it has to be viable. Plus, isn't this a privately operated event for the most part by Kendra Bullock?
It is. It's like this is a money making entity. They want to make money.
Okay, got it. Go ahead and talk what your thoughts on the Southern McNeese game.
Since he won't come on our show.
Now, see, Coach. Give us a coach. See, you got to see, Coach. We got to give him some grace. You got to give him some grace, Coach.
One thing we'll say, Coach. The coaches that are coming on our show are winning. So he might want to just come on our show to get a win, Coach. Because Chris Dishman got a win.
There you go. Go ahead, Coach. I'll just tease it with you. Go ahead.
You scored 7 points on a team that he didn't win a game last year. Okay. So that's total 7. You already knew you had a bad offense, so you got a new coordinator. All right. Total first downs, you had 16, 4 on rushing, 9 on passing, and the rest on penalties. All right. You was only 38% on third down. You want to be at 40. All right. And you let a team score on you at the end. I thought your defense played great. I just didn't think that offensively you put them in good situation to score points. At the end of the day, you gotta be able to score. So they get rid of the head coach, and then they hire an assistant, and you're getting the same results. And I know it's first. I'll be the first one, and I'll be telling y'all, calm down. I wasn't impressed with the 2 quarterbacks that everybody been talking about. They've been having a quarterback battle, Coach, for 2-3 years. And it just don't show that these 2 guys are the guy. 118 yards, 12 for 26, 46% completion rate. The other kid get in, he 1 for 3. He 33%. So, wow. You only rush for the ball 51 times versus a team that's even with you now. McNeese can't beat Florida A&M. McNeese can't beat South Carolina. McNeese can't beat Norfolk. So this ain't no game that you're playing against a bigger school. It's not. So I'm very disappointed in Southern. Very disappointed. This is a very disappointing output that you get beat by another conference. McNeese is the worst conference the worst team in the Southland, coach. Worst team. You can't do that. You can't go down there and lay an egg and expect for somebody to rub your hair and say, "Oh, it's gonna be out." It's gonna be a long season. Long season. But guys, y'all know in the West, and we argue with these Prairie View guys about the West, and all these guys talking about the West.
They ain't on there tonight, Coach. They not on there.
They ain't gonna call.
They took the night off, Coach.
Yeah, they ain't gonna call, Coach. They ain't gonna call. Man, the West is like shooting dice. You just roll them and don't know what you're gonna get. You're gonna get snake eyes right now. So, look, a team makes its best jump, guys, from game 1 to game 2. So I ain't just gonna sweep them under the rug, but damn it, I got my feet on them.
Man, Coach. All right, so I'll say something quick about this one. This game looked like it was gonna be a blowout, but Hampton made a furious comeback, and Morgan State won the game. I think Damon Wilson continues to do an excellent job at Morgan State, and I look for him to be in the race for the championship in MEAC. What about you, Mr. Campbell?
I believe it. Hey, this is a good win for Morgan. Get the season off rocking and rolling. I saw just a little bit of this. Again, I didn't expect Hampton to score as many points, but I think Morgan's going to be right there.
Yeah, I was able to see some of it. Morgan definitely got to be more balanced offensively. They only threw for 75 yards, and one guy rushed for 68. It seems like the MEAC schools are more balanced, more defensive, running game oriented. Of course, we all know that you win championships that way, but all of them can't win championships. You know what I mean? It's a toss-up over in the MEAC. Only place where it's dominant at is on the east side of the SWAC. If you want to call it all balance, we can say balance. But for Morgan, you're going to have to be better throwing the football when you're coming up against better teams. Hampton got a new coach, just stepped in there. And like you say, we all was choosing Morgan because they are a defensive style team, but to give up 28, whether it was late or at the beginning, it's still 28.
Yeah. I agree. And then this was probably one of the biggest upsets in HBCU football is that Delaware State went down and got a victory against Sacred Heart. I have no idea where Sacred Heart is, but they giving out victories there.
I think Sacred Heart is in New Jersey, but I could be wrong. I think that's what it's several Sacred Hearts all across the country. So but it says it's in Connecticut. I just looked at it, if that's that one, if that's the one that they played. But I want to say something real quick. You know what? This goes back to what Coach talks about, improving from game 1. Hey, and we remember Delaware went out to Hawaii and gave them a hell of a game. Looks like they took that momentum, got the victory here, 17-15 against Sacred Heart. Hey, like I say, the MEAC is going to be interesting. The MEAC is going to be interesting because I think, of course, we believe North Carolina Central and Morgan are probably the cut above everybody else. But I think everybody else below that, I think, can beat each other. So I think we're going to see some interesting games in the MEAC.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't think it's so much of a blowout. Sacred Heart just ain't one that been on Hollywood stage. You know what I mean? It's good to see Delaware State win. Let me say that. And they really, really put up some total offense, close to 500 yards. But Sacred Heart ain't a team that you would say that Delaware upset. We're more looking at, because Delaware State is a perennial losing program. I think that's why we're saying that. It's good to see them win, or HBCU win. Let's cheer for HBCU school, but still they're gonna struggle. They're gonna struggle against the better teams in the MEAC.
All right. Next up, we're gonna go over the Labor Day Classic. This is the highlight of Johnny Cole's decade.
Uh-oh. Sounds like he might be going to get that maroon and white.
Hey, after a whole decade of losing to Prairie View, Johnny Cole.
Hey, Rocket, they said Prairie View was having a mass meeting like them boys from 14. They said they had a mass meeting down there. They said in one of them churches, the churches down there in Houston, all sitting together, saying and praying and hoping.
If they ain't praying for a quarterback, they in trouble. Because I see that as their primary. They probably need a quarterback and offensive line, to be perfectly honest.
Rocket, they came on this show and tried to tell us. They said we said, who was your quarterback? And guess what? They still haven't answered that question after this game.
I wanna know why these people was insisting that they were gonna vie for a SWAC championship, not knowing what their quarterback play was gonna be. That's why we reserved the right to choose Prairie View, because we had questions about who their quarterback would be. They had all the confidence in the world that they had the guy at quarterback. And what they got 2 quarters in and replaced the guy?
And replace him, but I think he got hurt, because Bubba McDowell said, and because I'm doing a quarter, just to let everybody know, follow me on Twitter, IWCEO. I'm doing actually a quarterback tracking of the 4 quarterbacks I believe that will lead their team to a SWAC championship. But Coley, I'm gonna have to take him off that list. He was one of the 4. It was Jacoby Morgan, Daniel Richardson, Coley, and who was my other guy? And Andrew Body, which again, unfortunately, we'll talk about that. So yeah, so now they told us that was supposed to be the guy. They said that was the guy. They came on this show. They said they were going to be SWAC champions. They got T-shirts printed up, man. Prairie View, there you go. We need some of that Texas Southern Ocean Soul music behind that. Somebody cue up that Texas that neck.
Love you. Hell, the Texas Southern. Hell, the Rooting Gray. You the 90 we were standing. Boy, 9 years, baby. 9 years.
Hey, Coach, did you have any idea that this was gonna happen, Coach?
No. Look. Hey, look, we might have to send Coach Dishman a big TV. He had complained about his TV was small. So we might have to send him a big TV, because damn, man, it's been 9 years now. 9 years. I never lost a Prairie View until I started coaching TSU. That was almost 40 years, 30 years. Hey, we TSU, man. I'm showing out. I'm hollering to the rooftop. Man, we off to a great start. And how many years it's been? 15, 16?
Now, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Did they beat a bad Prairie View team, or is TSU trending upward?
Coach, let me say this to you. They're my team. That had to be the most boringest goddamn game I ever seen. me say this though. Texas Southern played a mistake-free game. Made great decisions. Ran the ball when they supposed to ran it. When they supposed to ran it. You know what I'm saying? Prairie View, it was like they had the first coach. You know what I mean? They were lost. Quarterbacks chiming in. Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't know how many more they're going to win. I'm just.
Coach, what did you think about all the motion and all that stuff that Prairie View had on their offense that they seemed to couldn't get right?
Their kids played like they were on ice. Like they're playing like they were all thinking and guessing. What play is this? Now, what I supposed to do? Wasn't nobody playing fast. You know what I mean? Wasn't nobody playing with confidence. It was guessing. It's like maybe they put too much stuff in, Coach Kelly, for the game, Zip, zamming it, zoom, zip. Oh, you know what I'm saying? We seen 4 quarterbacks play. 4 in the opening season. 4. It ain't down one of them through 150 yards, Coach. Am I right?
You're right, Coach. You're right. I want to just bring up a couple of things. I want to talk about some of the stats, and I watched the coaches, SWAC coaches call. But I want to talk about a couple of things. And Coach Dishman. Coach Dishman told us that every day of practice, you're competing for your job. So you got to remember, coming into the season, he had Chase Wilson, that was second team all SWAC. But clearly, he started KJ Cooper, who went 20 for 30 for 155 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. But the Texas Southern running game ran for 159 yards on 34 carries, with Danny Green running for 15 carries for 81 yards and 2 touchdowns. Then you had KJ Cooper, who gave them a second dimension of running, who ran for 57 yards. So what I saw right there, just looking at the stats and watching this game, Chris Dishman clearly had this team prepared. And Coach Bubba talked about this. He said that his team seemed like they just didn't know what they needed to do on defense and offense. They were trying to do too much. That's what he was talking about, the quarterbacks, not giving the running back on the RPOs. And that kind of concerned me, that you would think, like you said, that you are the seasoned coach, you have a team with championship aspiration, and you're talking about they just didn't know what they were supposed to do in this game. And Chris Dishman had his team very composed, running the game, and also throwing the ball.
And the coach, that was the difference. It wasn't nobody dominating each other. It was like they played in the middle of the field, and whoever turned the ball over, that's how I got my score. I didn't see no explosiveness. I didn't see no big play. I know Texas Southern got the linebacker over there. He made the sack, but he wasn't even making tackles, like he usually do. But for Texas Southern, this is what I want to say about Coach Dishman. They were poised. They were sound. Some of the coaches' decisions were sound. They didn't do or get stupid penalties, because that's what we've been accustomed to at TSU. And I like that. I like that. They not gonna beat themselves. I didn't see a whole lot of super talent. Somebody like that. Whoa, man, that kid's pretty good. And Prairie View, Jesus Christ. It looked like they just showed up to preseason practice last year and trying to get their offense.
Coach, they look small. They look slow. Like, it looked bad, Coach. It looked bad.
I might have shouldn't have watched the podcast show. The ones that were saying they were going to finish 11-1. Are they on the show tonight? Man, we need
Coach,
to call them.
I literally think they're literally having a mass meeting right now while we're having our show. I think they're having their own mass meeting while we're having. I think it's tonight. I think it's tonight.
You know what the meeting to say? Man, we don't stick our foot in our mouth.
They are on. They're having their own mass meeting with all 8 of them that were over here doing their big talking. And Coach, Coach, let me tell you this. They're not having one show. They had one show about the game. They're having another show tonight about the fans not doing right. So even the fans lost. So that's how bad. See, and this is what I try to tell people. And I told people from Prairie View, I said, listen, you got to understand something. When Jack State went on those death marches with Shador and that team, everybody was gunning for them. When FAMU went on that death march, everybody gave their best shot. When you call your shot like they did, you don't think Texas Southern, those guys didn't hear that?
Right.
You don't think those guys, this is your rival, and you're talking about, oh, we're going to the SWAC championship, we're going to beat everybody, FAMU, we're going to beat you, Southern, we're going to beat you. See, this is what I try to tell people. You have to have a team that has been together, coaches that understand adversity, coaches that understand that the game can't get too big. And I think, honestly, for Prairie View, I think they put a lot on this game. And I think once this game got out of hand, I think that's why you saw the score at the end. And like I said again, for Coach McDowell to say some of the things that he said today, like I said, really concerned me. The only player that played was Savage, their wide receiver. He had over 100 yards. But I was looking for a better defense. They talked about the defensive lineman that they had recruited. They were talking about the Texas speed that they had. Like you said, we didn't see any of that in this game.
Wow. And like I said, they were playing like they weren't playing fast. They were playing like they were thinking. And let me say this to you guys. That's why when you come into summer practice, okay, you're coming back with your returners of who's going to start. That first week and a half, you should be finding your players right now. Coming in there a week and a half before that first game, you should know who your starter's going to be. And when you getting all the way up to the week of game day and making, this guy going to start, this guy. It ain't about this guy and this guy. It's how many reps has he got? You know what I'm saying? And you definitely cannot play people or recruit people and still hold yourself to, okay, yeah, I told you he was going to come here and start. No, you got to earn that starting role. And, and I know we'll get into the Alabama State NCCU game because I think that played a major part in that disappointment. But Texas Southern Prairie View, man, woo. The West, if I was a bet man, I would bet a nickel on none of them teams. Because you don't know how they're going to go from week to week. They're so on the same playing level. But the bad part about it, what word can I use without saying not good? It's real average. It's real average.
Mediocre. Mediocre is the word.
Yeah.
Speaking of mediocre, we can talk about the team in the SWAC that's not mediocre. Let me go to this game right here. The Brawl at Bragg. We had a live correspondent at the game. We'll let him start it off.
Well, of course, I went down to Tallahassee for this game. And, this is one of those things where you don't know what you're going to see until they actually play. And I've just got to say this. A lot of people watch this. Clearly, a lot of people watch this game all over HBCU land. This is, FAMU should have lost. But let me tell you what FAMU showed once again. First of all, I'm going to say this because we said it in our praise report. Coach Colsey and Coach Henry clearly understand the pulse of this team and does not let this team panic. And Daniel Richard, who is the back-to-back HBCU Player of the Week, has shown once again why playing 40 games at the FBS level means something. Because he went on 2 drives that we had to have. We are down 18-7 with 10 minutes left. And people know that most times that game is over. And that kid, I'm talking about with ice water in his veins, made play after play after play. And once again, well, as we say, there's a reason why we said we brag different than brag. Another win. But let me go to the South Carolina State side. Chennis Berry is a good coach. Chennis Berry had those guys ready to play. And you know what, Coach? We broke this down with Coach Berry. He had 4 return stars on the offensive line. We saw the continuity there. He brought Eric Phoenix in, a quarterback that played for him. So it was very for him to easy to put his system in because he had a quarterback that could run it, and he had offensive linemen that were seasoned. And you could see that. You could see them running the ball. You can see the quarterback starting to get comfortable. But I'm going to tell you something, and this is where I think everybody in Bragg felt this. We were moving the ball, and I think this is what Coach Coles is going to try to address going forward. We have to execute and not turn the ball over. We did it against Norfolk State when we had drive stalled out, when we were moving the ball, and then we had to fumble with Kevin Dean, because remember that Kevin Dean scored that puts that game away. And then here we had big fumbles that basically allows South Carolina State to get the lead, and then once again for us not to really pull away in this game. So overall, like I say, FAMU is 2-0. I think what I've seen from our quarterback, clearly we got the best quarterback in the SWAC. Probably got the best quarterback in between the SWAC and the MEAC. And now what I'm looking for is growth from the defense. We've got work on that defensive line. So I'm looking for the defensive line to challenge themselves, because once again, I think that's why we get in the hole. We've got to get those 3 and outs, those first 2 series, to really get the offense rolling. And that's why I expect this, and that's what I want to see.
Yeah. Rocky, one guy was asking me a question, I think. Go back to, Cole, what did you tell your players about Miles Crew? Because these turnovers will win more games. We say sacrifice balance for the ball. What does that mean? If you feel yourself falling, and sometimes don't try to go get the extra yards. If you feel the ball loose, and secure the ball, meaning fall to the ground. You fall to the ground and the fumble come out after that, you still had the ball. So that's what we say, sacrifice balance for the ball. Don't sacrifice ball for the balance, trying to stay up and get a yard or 2. Sacrifice balance, meaning fall to the ground. 2 great coaches. Chinnisberry, he gonna keep it close. He gonna play good, solid defense, and they gonna run the football. I got it. He's an offensive line coach. Coach Odom is an offensive line coach. They're gonna be good at running the football. But you do have to be able to throw the ball at those key moments. And when he was at Benedict, his defense was so good that they would create turnovers. Well, now you're at a different level, and you just ain't gonna be able to run over everybody. You know what I mean? Running over everybody gonna get you 18 points. In 1AA football, guys, and right now, we get in the playoffs and we get waxed. 1AA football, you got to score some points. You know what I mean? You got to score points, and when you see the big boys in the 1AA, you're gonna see they be averaging 28 to 35 points a game or more. So you got to find ways to score. Right now we're playing each other, battling against each other, but that won't do it when you get to the playoffs. So to Chinnis, you gotta put the ball up in the air to make things. And that way, if he would late in the game, if he would have got a couple first downs and not kept giving Richardson the ball. See, the best defense, guys, is a good offense that eats the clock and get first downs. You see what I'm saying? So when you got a quarterback like Richardson, the best thing is to leave him on the bench. He can't score on the bench. And when you keep giving him opportunities, and you keep coming out and running on first down, and running on second down, or run every first down and get so predictable, then hell, me, Rocky, and you, Coach Bishop, could stop some folks. We're roadblock, we be like, hey man, it's coming. They running the ball. So you gotta be able to be more creative offensively. So 2 great teams. I gotta give a star to Coach Cozy again. Like you said, Coach, you can't say enough about the team don't panic. He makes the right adjustments. And at the end of the game, Rocky, it ain't a moral win. He won the football game.
Absolutely.
And Chinnis showed up, didn't come to the press conference talking about, oh yeah, we rushed the ball. I know Chinnis. I know him personally. I know he's like, hey, this game is the win. Now we play hard, but we got to get back on it. So
yeah, he did an interview with Stephen Gaither after the game, and he was pretty disappointed that they lost. And he said there's some things they have to work on, and they're gonna get better each and every week. All their goals are still in front of them. So You know, but they feel like they should have won this game. You know,
One thing about it, they probably can see each other again.
yeah. Like I say, I was very impressed with. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was impressed with both of FAMU's opponents in their first two games. I know people are saying, you know, FAMU is barely winning, whatever. I personally don't see another team in the SWAC that could pull off those two victories back to back in back to back weeks.
Man,
I don't know another.
don't be letting Coach Bishop feel good. He over there smirking, already got his tickets, ready to go to the go to the celebration bowl. He got the party. He don't call the
no, coach.
party.
No, coach. We listen. This is a season that we know. This is literally one game at a time season, and we understand that. And I like the fact that the team, because the fans are always going to be the fans. Fans don't play, but the team has a different character than the team. Like the team last year had a level of arrogance because they felt the talent. This team knows that, you know what, hey, and I like what Dane Richards said. He was interviewed on Scotty's show, and he said that the receiver came to him and said, after South Carolina State, said, we're going to score. And Richard had his head down and said, you're right. And went to offensive lineman, his center said, we're going to score. So these guys respect the game. I like the fact that they respect the game. So for this team, their personality fits what they need to do to get the job done.
Yeah. Well, you know, a team continues to get better, and winning these close ones make you even better, pull you even closer together.
I think they're playing good teams, Coach. I think they're playing good teams.
Ain't no question.
When two good teams, well-coached teams tee it up, in either one of these games, there haven't been a lot of penalties. FAMU, now unfortunately, FAMU has made the turnovers in both of these games. I don't think I don't remember South Carolina making a turnover, but
no, they didn't.
I know FAMU had two. And again, guys, Chinnisberry, hats off to him. Coach Odoms, hats off to him. His teams played. Both their teams played really clean for their first games of the season. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. I was impressed with both of them, with that being their first game of the season. They both played really clean. I just think FAMU's a better team, and Daniel Richardson is the difference.
I mean, you got to take your hat off to Chinnisberry. I mean, you open up your season to the best football team in the country in the HBCU. The same thing with Norfolk, but we both know the object of the game is to win the game. You know what I'm saying? But like you said, they got plenty of room for improvement, and I think all they're going to do is get better.
Now, Coach, our next game, before we go to our games for next week. Now, this game right here was played Sunday on national television. This was, in my opinion, was the matchup of the week. And I was there at the game. And like I say, these are just my assessments. Alabama State really was getting their butt kicked at the beginning of the game. They really were. Up until the point to where I think the number 4, Jonah O'Brien, threw an interception for a touchdown that had NCCU up 21-0. I want to say the first quarter. It was looking really bad for Alabama State, and there was no sign of life anywhere. And after that pick six, they kicked off, and they had a sensational run, kick return for a touchdown. And then due to the sensational play of Andrew Body, they were able to get themselves back in the game, only to have a chance to win on the final drive. And number 4, Jonah O'Brien, threw an interception. Man, there's so much that went on during that game. I just skated over Archie, but there was so much in that game. And this game has been really the talk of HBCU football the last couple of days. And largely, a lot of it centered around the 2 quarterback system that was used by Alabama State, Coach. Now, before we get into, I guess, the situation that Alabama State was in, I want to ask Coach Cole, have you been in a situation where you use two quarterbacks in a game, and then what must the offensive coordinator consider when using two quarterbacks in a game?
Well, let me start off with saying I like one quarterback. I like to go into a game with one guy. Of course, if he gets hurt, then we'll make some changes. So I'll let that guy know who's going to be the starter earlier, a week earlier. If I had a battle, which I've had at Tennessee State, I had a guy named Todd Valentine who was my quarterback before. And then we got a transfer in named Leon Murray from the University of Pitt. We stayed with Todd to open up the game, but I told both of them, Todd, you're going to start the game off. If you go cold and we're not moving the ball, then we'll make the change. And I said that because to let both of them know, Todd, it's your team. You got to let us know it's your team. And Leon, you got to stay ready. Todd stalled. We brought Leon in. He went 15 for 15. Well, the rest is history. Went on to go for 3,000 yards, and we ended up, winning the conference. I had another situation at Alabama State. I had Darnell Valentine, who started as a freshman there, and we brought in a guy named Tiger from Oklahoma State. And we made them duel with it. But at that time, I felt that Darnell Kennedy was the guy. And I think this is the same situation they had this past. We left thinking that Body was the quarterback. And sometimes, they brought this kid in the fall or maybe in the summer. And somewhere they felt that this kid was good enough to take over, or they went into the game saying, we're playing both quarterbacks. Well, when I look at that situation, Body is an athlete, all right? I'm looking to make my offense the best, and I want to put the best people on the field. I don't want to stack people behind people, and I know I got an athlete like Body that is probably better than any wide receiver I got. I'm gonna say, okay, Bishop's the quarterback. We're gonna go with him, but Body, you on the field. If anything happened, we always got you there. I think they came out, and it shocked a lot of people, Coach. Hell, it shocked me. Did you guys know that Body wasn't gonna start?
No.
I did. And then they did some razzle dazzle so early in the game that I didn't understand the razzle dazzle. The razzle dazzle was like a Roman candle, that's supposed to shoot 7 shots and it shoot 3. And poof, poof.
It was a pass in the flat to Andrew Body.
Yeah, and it was a reverse to somebody. So that just didn't impress me. I thought that was wasted plays. You know what I mean? I think that play should have been ran somewhere in the red zone, Coach Campbell. So I don't know if that was to rub both of their heads and say, all right, now I told you, Body, you was gonna play, but now let's put the other kid in. And the kid struggled. He struggled out the gate. And the thing about Body that I've seen and I know, the kids follow him because he's a likable kid. You know what I mean? He's very talented in what he does. And I just think that you make a decision and go with the decision. If Body is the best guy, then go with him and do the plays that he can do. And if he stalls, then I'll go. They kept making changes, right, Rocky? Bishop, they kept going back and forth. So neither guy could really get established. I thought Body was established. I jumped on the plane and wasn't able to see most of the game, but I seen enough that I felt that he had the team moving. He had the team going. When I got to the other side of my plane ride, I hear that they end up putting the other kid back in there. So that's tough. And when you're out recruiting, you can't be promising kids. So what I'm trying to do to the audience is giving you guys reason why this happened. Maybe they promised this kid something. But then when we did the lookup and studied the kid that was coming in, he hadn't really played nowhere. He wasn't no start and no hell of a guy. Hell, Body had way better stats than he did, at Texas Southern. So I don't know. I'm pretty sure that Coach Robinson, I trust in that he knows what he's doing. Coach, the OC knows what he's doing. So we'll see how it comes out and see what happens. But no, I do not like coming into a game not knowing who my starting quarterback is, because he's supposed to get most of the reps, not the week of the game, the week coming up to the week of the game. So that's how I feel about that.
I want to get space for Bishop. I want to get space for Bishop.
Well, I want to bring Coach Cole, because we talked about this. Coach, here's the thing, because what we have here, and this is very important, I want to say this. We got a lot of people on different YouTube channels that love football. We actually have a SWAC champion. So I'm going to talk from a fan, but as the coach, because I think what a lot of fans, especially at Alabama State, right? We heard the Andrew Body hype train started by Scotty, which great PR for Andrew, freshman year. And let's talk about this. He's in the same class with Shador. So that whole year was talked about. So he's a kid that we were actually able to follow for several years, which we didn't get a chance to do with a lot of players. So we've known this kid since he was a freshman. So we rooted for him. Great family, great kid. He transfers to Alabama State. We go down there to the spring game. We see him perform there. So all the things that we're hearing, and I'm talking about from the fans, right? The fans are hearing. We got Andrew Body. They are now selected to be preseason #1 in the East and win the SWAC. And let's be honest, because of him. FAMU defending champions, Jackson State with a returning quarterback and the #1 recruiting class. And they are 2-3. And because of him, because Alabama State did not have some outstanding recruiting class, they didn't have all the transfers from Power 5 like FAMU. They didn't have what Jackson State had, the #1 recruiting class for high school and transfers, because of him. So then we get to the game. And what did Eddie Robinson do? Which I like to say, and let's say this, we have tremendous respect for Coach Robinson. He's a leader of men. He's a great person. But here's what confused us, if you're listening, because we know you watch this show. It was cute to me that you put both of them out there. So you know what you can say? Both of them started. See, he could say that. But then as we watch the game break down, and Coach, this is what I'm going to ask you as a fan. What goes on behind the scenes for where we saw Andrew being taken out and O'Brien basically giving the keys to the car to really start the game, to technically start the game, as they're getting more plays early in the game? What decision goes in there as you're going in the game week that you think even caused that to be a decision like that?
Well, first of all, the score was 31-24. The defense played well, played great. And at times the offense played great when Andrew Body was in the football game. As I was watching the first part when Body actually started being the quarterback after this kid stalled, of course he ran, got down there. But then he got a couple of delay of game calls. So I don't know if Body is totally understanding the offense. That could be a problem. Don't understand the terminology of the new coach. That could be a problem. Not being able to speak the plays. And if you're watching, here's an example. In my offense, I'll just say right formation or regular formation, 62. Regular formation means 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and 2 backs. 62 is the protection, and 2 is the route for everybody. So that's easy learning. I've been in programs where I use Cincinnati. They would say regular formation, red, they would give you the personnel, red right, all right, Y corner, Z go, X in, H and F high, razor. All right. So I done gave you protection, I done gave you personnel, I done gave you the formation, and then I done told everybody the route. So that's a lot to say. So he's in the huddle saying razor, right, Y corner, Z go, X post, H and B shoot routes. You see what I'm saying? That's a lot of dialogue that a kid gotta know and learn. Not saying it should be hard, because it ain't hard to certain kids. That puzzled me a little bit. It gave me, to be honest, I was so surprised that Body just wasn't the guy. That gave me some pause to say, oh, he's struggling. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we got you, Coach.
He's struggling with the terminology or understanding the play. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So now I'm in a game and it's some plays as a coordinator I want to get to. And the kid, and this, I'm not saying this was Body. I'm saying, I'm giving y'all some scenarios of what goes on. You ask me, well, what is the go on? Is these are some of the things that's going on. So the coach is saying, the coordinator said, hey, get Hodges ready, because this is what I want to run. And in his mind, here saying, Hodges run this play better than Body. So let me get Hodges back in the game. But the bad part about it is when it don't work. And when it don't work, everybody's like, what the hell going on? And that's what's happening.
Well, Coach, let me ask you this, because I think even though sometimes the point Bishop Campbell makes a lot of times is that these coaches want to win. These guys aren't out here playing favorites or daddy ball because they don't want to win. They want to win. And they've seen Andrew Body all spring, all summer workouts, and fall camp. And they didn't come up with the idea to play the other guy based on who they like or because of them playing favorites. I got to give Mr. Campbell that, because he says that all the time. But to a fan, Coach Cole, it was apparent who was moving the ball and who was struggling. So what as a coach are you committed to in a game? Are you committed to your scheme, or are you committed to trying to win the ball game?
Can you remember how you started the question? You said coaches want to win.
Yes.
They're not into favoritism.
Yes.
Well, that's a damn lie.
What you mean, Coach? Coach,
I told you 25% of coaches are winners and 75% is not. And that is one of the reasons. Ego, this is my offense. This is my thing about what I see in a player and what I want. And this kid I can't think, or this kid, I don't like him because when he get in the weight room, he don't lift. I didn't recruit this kid. This kid is a knucklehead. That's my dog. Mocha. That's my dog. I'm sorry. Yeah, Coach. It's a lot of that.
Let me ask you these, Coach. These guys have $200,000 and $300,000 jobs. These guys have great livings based on having these jobs. And you mean they gonna get on these jobs? You think they gonna get on these jobs and play favorites and risk their livelihood to play favorites?
Coach, I've been on staffs where coaches threaten to jump on the head coach. I've been on staffs where they did a coup versus the head coach. I've been on staffs where head coaches didn't know what they were doing, and they lose confidence in the other and they lose confidence in the head coach. So they actually do what they want to do. This is a people's game, guys. Don't it? It's a people's game. I've been on staffs. I'll give you an example. We was at Tennessee State. We recruited a kid named Tyrone Butterfield from the University of Michigan. He was the number 3 player in the United States. He played quarterback down in Miami. And they used to just hiking the ball and he used to outrun everybody. So he went to Michigan, played wideout. He transferred to us at Tennessee State, right? Kid was about 5'8", but he was a 180-pound 5'8". Run 4-3 coach, coming out of his sleep, all right? Catch the ball any kind of way. But he was a slow-moving guy. You ever been around a slow-moving guy? But when he runs, he can run. So anyway, the kid would go in the weight room, and check this out. He could bench press everybody, but he just didn't work hard, you know. And the weight coach always had to say, "Come on, man, jump in there and get your rep or two." So we would meet every Monday about, you know, let the strength coach talk, and the strength coach said, "Yeah, coach, I don't like this guy. You know, I don't think he's our type of guy." And I said, "Well, why is that?" "Well, you know, he needs to be lifted some more because we know he can lift some more." And I said, "Hold on, mister." He said, I think we need to move on from him. I said, "Hold on, mister. Hold on, time out. That's 10 touchdowns and 1,000 yards you talking about. If anybody gonna go, you gonna go." My brother looked at me. I said, "Yeah, coach." I said, your job is, if you don't do what he said, he goes, does he go to the weight room? Yes, sir. Is he on time? Yes, sir. Is he distraction in there? No, but I want him to be a team leader. I said, well, maybe that ain't who he was. Guess what, guys? 78 catches, 1,100 yards, and 10 touchdowns. Now, if I was that guy to say, "Oh, yeah, he is right. He ain't a team guy. Yeah, he ain't," and then mess with him, you know, pull him out the game, don't start him because he ain't a rah-rah guy. You know, some coaches need their egos built by coaches. You know what I mean? And some coaches watching the show know what I'm talking about, especially PWI guys. You know what I mean? Especially when they deal with our kids. You know, if I was at the University of Cincinnati, and I met a kid named Robert Tate. Well, the kid was ended up being dyslexic, but he was quiet. He was a quiet kid. And they didn't really care for the kid much. But I said, guys, this kid can show up, do it, man. Well, he went on to be player of the year, first team wide receiver, first team kick return. His name was Robert Tate. But they were ready to throw him out with the bathwater, or thought he had some type of problem or some type of ego trip because he was a quiet kid. So yeah, man, this is an egotistical game, and some coaches will not put kids in. Look at Southern University last year. Remember that, Rocky?
Yeah.
About the quarterback?
Yeah.
So I don't know who was right. Dooley's been removed. The quarterback that he didn't play is now the starter who got replaced this past week. What we got to say about that?
Coach, sometimes, well, I think I said this a couple weeks ago. What we find in Dooley's situation, after going through Harold Blood, the McCray kid, and Noah Biden, there wasn't a quarterback on that roster. So now the year before he had Bubba, who he didn't play, and that was an unfortunate situation. Last year, he didn't have a quarterback on the roster. You know, if
but everybody all of them wanted him to play body though, right?
Yeah, they wanted him to play somebody. Yeah.
So
here's my thing, Coach. I want to talk to you about this. So You got the passing quarterback in the game. They run the ball first down. He gets sacked on second down. He has an incomplete pass on third down, and it's 4th and 14. Guess what you do, Coach? Who you put in on 4th and 14 with 3 minutes left? Do you put the passer in or do you put the runner in?
You definitely have to put the passer in, Coach.
They put Andrew Body in.
It's 4th and 14.
They put Andrew Body in, Coach. 4th and 14, Coach. Guess what he does?
What?
He electrifies the crowd and runs for a 38-yard touchdown to get them within one score. They called a pass play, but of course the play broke down and he went in and got busy. My point in saying this is, if he can't pass, if you don't have any confidence in him passing, why did you put him in on 4th and 14?
And did he scramble to get it, or was it a run call?
It looked like a scramble, Coach.
Oh, okay.
Looked like a drop back scramble, but it could have been a draw. I don't know. It looked like a scramble.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I was on the plane at that time. But yeah, Coach, that's strange, man. I thought
like the whole hey, Coach, they had Andrew in the game, right? They run a play on 3rd and 10. It's 3rd and 10. They run a play with Joan O'Brien at quarterback. They are in plus territory, right, Coach?
Right.
In plus territory. They run a play. The play is not successful, but it's illegal substitution on NCCU. That's a 5-yard penalty. It's 3rd and 5 now. That's perfect for Body, right?
Right. They put O'Brien in.
They left O'Brien in, and he boogered it up.
It was a lot of bad.
Like I said, Coach, it was
a lot of bad decisions.
It was crazy.
I'm not ready to throw the baby out with the bathwater because it's game 1. You're playing one of the best programs in the country. Of course, you can't make those kind of mistakes. You look at the score. I ain't a fan of moral victories. You know what I mean? With all those mistakes, they were still there in the game. But I don't have the answer, Coach. Like I said, I was shocked out the door that Body wasn't a starter. And then I did my homework on this kid they brought in, because I'm thinking in my mind that
they brought in a ringer.
Yeah. Like we seen Body play. We seen how electrifying he can. We can see how he can throw the ball, right? So I'm saying to myself, damn, I'm ready. Guys, I'm ready. I'm ready to see O'Brien take us to the next level. And I didn't get it, man. I didn't get it. I don't know if O'Brien got to be ready to be starting with a kid that led to spring. This kid was your spring quarterback. O'Brien would have had to come in and set it on fire.
Coach, and Andrew looked great in the spring game, Coach. They featured him in the spring game, Coach.
Yeah.
I
don't have the answer for that. All I do have is the answer for what goes on in programs. And sometimes when somebody is new, the OC is new, then he wants his guy. So I think Body transferred there before the new coordinator came in. I don't know. I don't know if Body is catching on to the system. I don't know. But these are questions that need to be, I shouldn't say need to be answered, but are reasons that this O'Brien kid maybe played somewhere down the line in what the coordinator was running and understood the offense a lot better. We're going to have to dig on this one, guys.
Yeah. Hold on, Rock. Hold on before, because listen, I got to say something. Rocky, go back to the slide. Go back to the NCCU Alabama State slide, because we've done all this talking about the losing team. We've got to talk about the team that actually won.
Oh yeah.
So let's talk about how great a coach that Trey Oliver is. And I want to point out something that Trey Oliver has talked about at the Celebration Bowl. They talked about on our team. His leading rusher, a kid they recruited, Jamari Taylor. His leading receiver, a kid he recruited, Jaqueen Davis. Walker Harris, been in the program 3 years. This is an old school coach, built homegrown squad, and this just shows how great a coach that Trey Oliver is. Because he didn't go portal heavy. These are not portal kids I named. These are kids that he has taken as freshmen, that have bided their time, that have learned the system. And what did they do in a very big game? Now we're talking about the #1 team in the MEAC, the #1 team in the SWAC. Hey, for some people, this is a Celebration Bowl, preview. And what does this team do? Punch Alabama State in the mouth on both offense and defense, no matter what was going on with Alabama State. Their defense dominated early. Their offense dominated early. They were making the right calls. They were efficient. And this is why you got to give Trey Oliver, honestly, he has got to be right now the best coach in HBCU football at this level for what he's done. And to see what he did, and this is where I think Alabama State has some question marks as far as that defense was not stout, because that's what they hang their hat on. They were getting ran on. They looked slow in the defensive backfield. I was really shocked about that. But once again, I got to give Trey Oliver and those Central Eagles a lot of praise, because this is, to me, what I grew up with. When you got kids that were from the neighborhood, that we used to say, and when I mean neighborhood, your state, city area, you bring those kids in, they know what the quality of the program is, they know what the mission statement of the program is, and this was a statement game for Central. Because Trey Oliver, hey man, we know this man don't hold back. He told his team, we're going to win this game. We're going to set the tone. We got to give him a lot of credit. So, Coach, I want to talk about a little bit about that, about the fast start that you saw, what you got to see with Central, with Walker Harris against Sidman Davis Richards, and what the defense did to really cause all the confusion that we really talked about with Alabama State.
Of course, Trey, you said it all. He has a program. And I've always said a program beats talent all the time. And as you say, everybody knows, where the bodies are lied on that program, meaning they know Trey Oliver is the head coach, his assistants, they know who's in charge. And this kid they have at quarterback here, he has been in their program for 4 years. All right. So he's not new to what's going on. They know who he is. They got confidence in him. And a lot of that comes from Coach Oliver. And evidently this kid likes what goes on in this program. Coach Oliver is a North Carolina Central University graduate. You know what I mean? So he knows what's going on around there, around the city and everything. So they got a family, a real family atmosphere in North Carolina Central. And he's been there. And he's been to the top. And some of those kids that was on the team now actually was a part of their championship team. So they've been in the spotlight. Of course, you got Coach Robson still going into his third year, which everybody knows his first recruit class is with him. And again, that's a tale of two teams there. You got a team that's know each other well. They know what to expect. They know what we're doing. They know how we're going to attack. And you still got a team that now he's on his second offensive coordinator. Another whole set of quarterbacks, let's say it like that. And so, but the only thing with North Carolina Central is they got to tackle better. I had a little conversation with Trey, and he said if there's anything, he said the game wouldn't even have been close if we would tackle better. So he already knows what the issues and problems with North Carolina Central. So again, 75% of the coaches are not winning coaches. You got that 25%. And they could go anywhere and win. because they know what they're doing. They know how to make adjustments, and they don't run into situations and create situations. I love Eddie Robinson to death, but I think they just created a bad situation in that program. I can't, knowing Body, and I don't know what, I think he got hurt, so maybe that might answer. But I know this kid is a likable kid, and I know some of them players like him. And when you seen the two tails of him play, Body outshined him by a long shot. At Central, Trey Oliver knew who his quarterback is. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts. This is the guy who's going to run our program. I'm the head coach. All his assistants dropping line. He pays them well. I think you see an organized program as opposed to one that's still trying to find itself.
Coach, let me ask you a quick question, because you mentioned something that you said, and this is what's so great about HBCU Coaches Corner with Johnny Cole. You actually talked to the coaches. You said that, yes. Trey Oliver said, what do we need to improve tackling? So let me ask you a question. T.C. Taylor talked about we didn't tackle well. We saw that. FAMU, Coach Cole has talked about we didn't tackle well. Trey Oliver, what is it about early in the season? Is this because we don't have the two-a-days and teams not as physical anymore? Or is this just at the beginning of the season that guys just got to get into it? Because that is a trend that I've heard, and that's a concerning trend, that every coach that really has championship aspirations, tackling has been their concern. So what do you think that's causing that?
Well, that's what the game has turned to anyway, because of the spread and being wide open. And you got more quote unquote athletes on the field. You got different personnel on the field. So that's what the game has came to. And, it's first game, kids are anxious, kids are overreact. They got to go back. That's why I say teams make the biggest jump from game 1 and 2. Now they got something to see. They'll go back and watch the video and watch film to be able to see the mistakes they made. You got a guy playing man coverage, and every time the quarterback say hike, he looking to the quarterback. And then now you can show him on film. Offensive linemen, not taking the proper steps. Linebackers being so anxious, getting caught up in the wash and not getting to the edges. You got defensive linemen, especially on the defense, you got certain gaps, right? The defensive lineman got certain gaps. When you talk about 1 technique, 3 technique, 5 technique, 7 technique, then those linebackers got to fit. So if I'm a lineman, and I know I'm talking to people, if I'm a lineman and I'm sitting on the right shoulder of the guard, usually a linebacker's gap is on the left shoulder of the guard. All right. Then when you're talking about safety fits, all right, when those safeties come up, they can't come up fine. They got to come up and fit as well. What's a fit? Making sure they keep that running back on the inside shoulder. All right. You don't ever want a running back or wide receiver to get to the sideline, because when he get to the sideline, he's down the sideline. You want always to make the runner. Hello?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Your camera froze a couple. We can hear you.
Yeah. Did it without. You always want to make a runner run to the cavalry. When the cavalry is not the sideline. The only time the sideline plays a key role is when the secondary covers people. They give the receiver a one-way go. All right. So when they're playing man out on the edge, they're playing inside leverage. So if the guy runs out, they use the out of bounds as another man. All right. You don't play man coverage and let the receiver run to the middle of the field, because that's where all the field is. But he can't play outside. So those are the things that when you're starting to watch film and get in that film room with guys and start showing them the things that they're doing wrong, you get a better football player the next day.
Awesome. Hey, Rocky, wait, one other thing before we move on to, I think you're ready to go to the next slide. We got, wait a minute, we got to do one thing now. Our coach, Johnny Cole, actually called his first game. Coach, you got to break that down. We can't let that slide down, because we had a record-setting performance, and you were there to call it as a color commentator for HBCU Go. So we've got to talk about those CAU Panthers getting their first win versus Fort Valley. So, Coach, I didn't want us to run past that because that is a money win. First of all, congratulations. Did a great job on the call. But you actually got to see David Wright throw for 7 touchdowns. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that in that game?
Real quick, guy, it's not no easy job. Those play-by-play guys, man, I take my hat off to James Hatnot, who was our play-by-play guy. They definitely be in your ears. They talk to you as you talk. They give you the information. You got to take the information, but you can never look off the camera or what. It's as you talking. My job is to say the how and why. So I mostly talk to only through replays. And then I had opportunity, which, I'm going to pat myself on the back. You know how John Madden became famous? He was able to write schemes and stuff.
On the
no other play-by-play. Right. No other player, guy, when he came on, could do it as good as he done. So the thing about it is, since it was my first game, they really didn't want to do it. But the day before, they ran me through it. And I'm looking, and I said, guys, if I don't know nothing, I know schemes. So I'll be okay doing that. And it has players' favorite players, so where you could hit a player's number and then hit where he line up, and that'll follow him around. So it was a great time, man. I'm looking forward to the next time. I got Miles College and Allen College out in South Carolina, so I'm really looking forward to, man. God's been good to me. You guys for sure have been good to me, man. Are my following, and I mean, man, I'm in my, there. I was nervous. I had to say that, because they're in your ear, and they be like 5, 4, Cole, you're on 3, 2, 1, Coach Cole, go, and you got to come with it. You know what I mean? You got to come with it, and I'm waiting on my film. I call the producers and stuff and tell them when they gonna have it, because I wanna get on there and critique myself. I know I wasn't perfect. I know I could be better. I think Rocky told me something great, that Rocky, you're right. I wasn't able to put my energy in it and my personality, and so a lot of that, because there's a lot of buttons too, Coach Campbell. You got to be pushing. They got a cough button. They got a talk to the truck button. So it's a lot going on, man. It's a production, guy. I mean, computers everywhere, wires going everywhere. Man, you had over at least 50 or 60 workers, and then you go to the truck. I guarantee you, guys, it was 3 rows of computers, at least 25 computers up on the wall, screens. They're showing all kind of angles, games all over the United States going on. It was exciting. It was exciting, man.
Well, Coach, what did you see about? You saw David Wright firsthand. You saw Coach Keaton and that offense. Do you think, because Dr. Cavill had him ranked 4th? Is this a team that can challenge for the conference championship?
Without a doubt, Coach. Without a doubt. David Wright, you ever seen a pitcher throw a no-hitter? And I'm trying to use this analogy. When he was throwing to his wide receivers, he was throwing them open, meaning he would throw to their back, and they were great at it. They were running, they see the ball to the back. They caught everything with their hands. The throws he was making was like a pitcher throwing the baseball on home plate. You know how one be hitting the outside of the plate, or he hit the inside of the plate. Then every now and then he'll throw one right down the middle. And all those kids, man, were just none but hands, guys. None but hands. He threw 1 touchdown where the DB was all over the receiver, and the receiver still came. Amon Harris, Ronnie West, Virgil Young. Man, you know those dudes by heart now. The guy threw 7 touchdowns and no interceptions.
Wow.
Unfreaking believable. I think they had a great opportunity. I think Coach Cole did a great job on defense, stopping Fort Valley. I know it looks like they scored 42 points, but for Clark University's first 2 series, the punter pumped one over their head and then punted the other one. He dribbled it back there. So Fort Valley got a short field. They had to go no more than 20, 25 yards to go score. And then at one time, Coach Cole had them stopped. And one of his players got a personal foul call on the 3. So that only moved him to the 1.5 and then gave him 4 more downs. So it was a tale of 2 teams in 2 different games starting from the first quarter. After Clark turned the ball over 2 times, Coach, they scored 6 times in a row.
Coach,
Wow.
I got a question. My math ain't mathing, Coach. If it got through 7 touchdowns, 7 times 7 is 49, but
Yeah.
Clark only had 45. What happened to the other 4 points, Coach?
The field goals.
College
And
kicker.
the extra points. All right. They first one got blocked. The second one, to my understanding, talking to Coach Keaton, because they had tried the field goal before and it went wrong, that the holder jumps up and just takes the ball and start taking off running and go tell them, oh man, it slipped. So they didn't hit the hey, look, the punting, and then the third time that Clark punted, they faked it and got the first down. All right. And every time Clark would get up the punt, that was the biggest play. Whether they're going to snap it over the head, whether they're going to dribble it out, whether they're going to take the fake. And so those turnovers were deadly for Clark, and they got to get better at that.
Hey, all right, Coach. Hey, Coach, we're going to zoom through this because this coming week is a bunch of money games. It's either money games where the schools are going to bigger schools or the schools are hosting D2s. You know what I mean?
Let me say this. Thank you, Edwin Moore. I appreciate it, and I definitely look to get better. And let me say this, and I should have said this. This is why I started this program. And again, I'm doing research. Am I the first or the only African-American coach that coached at a black school and went to a black school is now on the air? But thank God for the HBCU Go to put me on the air. You know what I mean? As an analyst, we need more of our coaches, that's on the sideline. I think Melvin Spears would be great. I think LC Cole would be great. I think Coach Broadway and those guys in Washington and Pete Rich, I think they would be great at what I do. And I'm just glad to, I don't know if I'm the first yet, but I'm glad that I am the one that's doing it. And hopefully we can get some more to do it as well, to televise and talk about our games. Okay. And I should have said that earlier, but that's why it's important. And I guess God chose me. So I'm going to make sure I try to do the best I can, because I'm not only representing myself, I'm representing the SWAC conference, I'm representing black college football and other black coaches.
Absolutely.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, but go ahead.
No. That's very important that you mentioned that it's an opportunity that many black college coaches don't get, and that you're giving the opportunity, and the fact that you're promoting that they're opening up the opportunity to other people in the same situation. That's remarkable, Coach. That speaks to
because I get tired of seeing the SEC and ACC and they coaches. They don't even have to win, and they right in the booth. Later they jump right in the booth, and that's what some of our guys doing. And I hope I can convince the HBCU to look at more former head coaches out of our conference.
Absolutely. Hey, Coach, and Mr. Campbell, any of these games in the MEAC jumping out at you? We got South Carolina Citadel. We got Virginia State is traveling to Norfolk. We got Elon is being hosted by North Carolina Central. We got Morgan State traveling to Townsend, and we got Mercyhurst, whatever that is. They'll be playing at Howard for their home opener.
Well, the one I talked about, and I think that has interest to me. I want to see, again, the MEAC has had an outstanding reputation the last couple of years of getting these out-of-conference wins. But the game to me that's really important is Virginia State versus Norfolk State. you're talking about two teams that are basically that area rivals. You're talking about Virginia State that's picked to win the CIAA. Norfolk better win that game. They better win that game. But Virginia State, I believe, thinks they can beat them. And I would not be shocked if they did. So I just wanted to, when I saw that, and I said, you know what, let me circle this game as my game of interest that I see between Virginia State and Norfolk. And those people in that area know how big that game really is going to be. And that's one of those rivalry games. And again, it doesn't matter that, what conference they're in. Like I said, that whole city, because like I say, they're really close together. But Norfolk, for them to be the team that they need to be, they have to win that game.
Coach, I second that, because Virginia State ain't no slouch. They got Coach Frazier up there. I seen them play in the Hall of Fame, Black Hall of Fame game, and they got a tailback that could show cut some corners. I see Norfolk winning. They don't drop two in a row. We don't know injury-wise where they are health-wise, because they got beat up pretty good this past week. So that's a game that, and I like Morgan State. This will really say what Morgan State is, because Townsend State and Morgan State,
yep.
They right there. They
right there.
Yeah. They right there. This is a crosstown rivalry. So you could throw the records out the house. So. Those are two that I'm really interested in.
All right, we can move on to the SWAC if y'all don't have anything else.
Yeah.
Like I say, SWAC got plenty money games this week. Plenty. Boy, they making all the money in the SWAC, guys. All the money in the SWAC.
Hey, man, money makes the world go round. But one thing about it, the bad thing about it is the money don't go to the to the football program, and sometimes it don't even go to the athletic department. So, this is one of the things that we talked about this before, and maybe I don't know what I'm doing or saying, but all I know is my experience how the school forward the athletic program monies for that fall. Because you got to, anybody knows in the business and education, you got to zero out everything for the next year's money to come in. And for some reason, I don't know why we don't take that money or some of it and put it away and get that to the football program the next year, where what you end up doing instead of running the football program money every year, let it operate on its own, where it almost can help fund the other programs, because you got that student fund helps the athletic department as well. And if I'm losing, y'all let me know. No. Meaning they could take the student fund and help all the other sports, where football and basketball can start operating on its own with these games.
Yeah. You're saying like use a certain portion of it to go directly to the football program,
right? So you won't have to front.
So rather than replenish other budgets, it can possibly increase the football budget.
Right.
Yeah, that seems like fair, because they're offering themselves up to to sometimes get really beat up in those games. Well, we'll just go down this year. We got Mercer is traveling. That's interesting. Mercer is traveling to Bethune-Cookman. They're going down to Daytona, and Bethune-Cookman is hosting Mercer. Do you find that strange, Bishop Campbell?
No, Bethune's played Mercer before. Mercer's not, they're in Georgia. That's one of those games they had to fill the schedule. I don't, that's one of those games. I'm not going to even lie to you. I have not looked up Mercer, so I don't want to talk too far. I will be interested in what Bethune-Cookman does against them, because like I said, I have them as my sleeper pick. But, I really don't know what that game's going to, like I said, I'm not going to even lie, because there's two games on here actually three that I really did the research on that, but like I say, if I had to take a flyer, It's one of those games. I want Bethune-Cookman to win, but usually, unfortunately, SWAC teams just don't win those games, as we saw with Magnesans and Southern.
Yeah, yeah. And then we got this money game right there. I don't know if you know, but I'm interested to know what is Florida A&M getting for going to
700,000. And then let me tell you what's so funny. Now this is, man, I watch all these shows and I'm all the chats. And my niece Paris, she ain't on here, but boy, she just been wearing FAMU out. They're gonna lose. We all know we're gonna lose Miami. We don't care. See, this is what y'all fail to realize. We don't care. We're going down there. A lot of other kids are going to get to play. I hope Richmond, let them play a quarter. Let them work out. Don't get him hurt. Let some of the other kids play. Let Junior play this game. And get on out of there in Miami, because we have Troy next week, which I think is more of a testament of what we can do, and get out of there. So we don't care. And first of all, let's be clear. FAMU has played Miami for years. That is nothing new. And I'll tell you this, one of our first, and shoot, maybe our only Division I victory was against Miami. So we've had a long history playing Miami. It's a good recruiting tool for FAMU to come down there, to let the recruits come, talk about the team, meet the coaches and things like that. So, that is what it is. Nobody cares. We don't care. If we lose 7-0, trust me, we're still going to brag different, and it's not going to stop what we're trying to do is win a SWAC championship. So I want to be clear on that.
Hey, you left out one thing. Tell them if y'all donate money, we ain't got to play them kind of games.
That's why we had Eli on here, so we can start getting all that going. Absolutely. So we won't have to play that game.
So we got Miles Cox. This is probably one of the ones you did the research for.
That is the game. So for all my HBCU people, you know what I like about this is when the great thing about all these shows, we start paying attention and we start learning things. I will tell you 3 or 4 years ago, nobody would have known that Miles and Alabama State would have played this game. But you know what? Because the interest, we all know that Miles beat Alabama State. Absolutely. We all know that. Now, guess what? O'Brien, concussion protocol. Andrew body out. Potential freshman started. Does Miles and Sam Shea pull another upset? Because if that happens, and Coach, I will ask you a question, because we're seeing this at Florida State. They're 0-2. How much pressure if Eddie Robinson loses to Miles? What is the fan base going to be like if they lose to Miles at home?
Well, to be honest, it's always been kind of a shaky shake. You know what I mean? Because of the way he was hired. It will not. It's rough in Alabama State, and that would really you probably wouldn't get nobody to come to the games after a while, and it would be rough if they lost to Miles again, and they shouldn't lose to Miles. So that's why the game is played on the field, guys. At any given Saturday, somebody could come up short.
And just so we know, have we gotten any official updates on Andrew?
I have not. I heard that he's having the MRI. I believe that's what Coach Robinson talked about, and that they would probably know more by tomorrow. That's what he said on the coach's call, I believe, if I'm correct.
I'm interested. This is a revenge game for Alabama State. I'm looking to see how they respond. In my opinion, they came out kind of flat against NCCU. In the conversation we had yesterday, you said you're going to look flat when you get punched in the mouth. So that may have been it. That may have been the reason why they were flat. But I'm looking to see in a revenge game what kind of energy they'll have coming up. Now, you guys have to tell me the history behind this game, Kentucky State and Alabama A&M. I'm not very familiar with Kentucky State, but of course I'm familiar with Alabama A&M, who took it on the chin last week from Auburn. What can we expect in this game? Anybody have any idea?
Kentucky State. Go ahead, Coach. Go ahead.
Kentucky State is an SIAC team. I played them when we were at Lane, and they're that type of team, and they really got handed it to them last week, real bad. And this is a good tune-up game for Alabama A&M to get back on the right track.
Okay. Now this next game is the one game I really wouldn't mind going to if I was able to, and it was to go down in the hole to watch Grambling play Tuskegee. I would love to see this game for a couple reasons. One, this will be the first chance that Mickey Joseph gets a chance to get a victory, and I want to see Miles Crawley up close and personal. But I also want to see what Tuskegee has after really the last couple seasons really struggling. Seeing if they can really, you know, uh, get back on track and be a threat in the SIAC. How do you see it going, Mr. Campbell or Coach?
Good.
Well, this here's the thing. First of all, these are in the HBCU lexicon. These are named schools that people know. Tuskegee, as they call, is one of the Black Ivies. Grambling should win this game. Grambling should not have a problem with Tuskegee. I don't think Tuskegee is that good. I think Grambling scheduled this game, like I said, to get them ready for SWAC play. I think Coach Joseph is going to get that running game going. I think he wants to see his defense to get turnovers. Because Grambling, these are the games that Grambling really needs to start finding out who and what they are. Because, again, their schedule starts tightening up real quick. They play Jackson State. That's a non-conference game. Right after that, they're going to be playing Prairie View, which will actually be a conference game. So these are games real quick that I think for them, let's see what we're about. They played their money game. They got that out the way, blah, blah, blah. And then now let's see what we do against Tuskegee.
Yeah, my understanding, this is not the Tuskegee of old.
No.
They're not near what they used to be.
Now this game is interesting considering that Lane Coach Brown was able to go bite Tennessee State a couple years ago. Is Jackson State ripe for the pickings for Lane College to do shock the world once again?
Hey, Coach TC Tech, it better not be, because this ain't no Tennessee State.
Absolutely not.
And beat them in Jackson, in Memorial Stadium. That ain't happening.
No, this is a WC Gordon Classic. They're gonna raise a lot of money. They have a good golf tournament at Ashley Robinson hosts. They're gonna have the alumni come in. They're gonna play a little bit of golf. Fans are gonna come in there. It's gonna be a nice day in Jackson. They're gonna run it up on Lane. So I don't think Jackson State is worried about this game. Now I will tell you this though: when they did play Delta State, that was a game with Shador his freshman year. So, but Lane College is not Delta State. Delta State is one of those powerhouses at Division II. And like I say, no, I don't think Jack State's going to be worried about too much of this. I think they're going to get – this is why I think Jack State, again, does the same thing as Graham, to get a lot of players to play. I think they get Herb Mulligan back, and I think they'll be ready to go.
Yeah. And this is another money game. Texas Southern travels just really probably
Crosstown.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say crosstown, Coach. We probably on the other side of the highway. And they play Rice. Do you know what kind of money Rice pays Texas Southern to go over there and play the game?
I don't know.
What would you think would be fair?
I heard 200, 250. You know, I'm not sure. Right. Hey, look, it costs about $50,000 to go to school over there. So, you play those teams to make money, not to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I wouldn't play Rice. You know what I mean? I wouldn't play Rice. What am I getting out of it if I'm not getting $500,000? And I'm not saying if they give me $500,000, we playing. Because beating Rice is good, but chances are we're gonna lose. So they're gonna beat you in recruiting. They're gonna beat you down right there in your city. So the disadvantages to me is better than the advantage. I wouldn't play Rice.
Okay. So here's another one. Here's another Bishop. Savannah State and the people you love to hate. Southern Jaguars.
Hey, I was fun. I heard a Savannah State alumnus that called in the Scotty show with his chest all stuck out. And I think that's the only time I've ever heard anybody from Savannah State in a long time. Since Shannon Sharp played down there, they had their chest stuck out. So I look for Southern to, like I say, win this game. I think Southern will get it going. But here's the thing with Southern. It's not about them winning the game. We want to see if Noah Biden can actually get over 200 yards of passing. Are they going to be able to do that? Is the offense going to get going? Because, we joke about this, but these are games that you really want to start putting in things, getting players get comfortable, and start moving forward. Because, again, they play Jackson State coming right up, even though it's a non-conference game, and then they get in their conference schedule. So, like I say, They should win that game. I'm not worried about Southern. They'll get their first victory.
Yeah. Hey, Southern got Jackson State next week.
Yeah, Southern needs this game because they got to lick their wounds. I mean, they lost to McNeese State, who's been the bottom of the Southland Conference. And we're talking about Southern, one of our elite teams, blue bread programs, and you lose to the last place Southern, and you lost kind of bad, 24-7. So this is a great game for them to get back on track.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate here, guys. Savannah State upset Southern.
No.
Is Terrence Graves a dead man walking?
Woo.
Man, listen. You know, I don't even want to play with that man's career like that, man. I'm not. Yeah. I'm not gonna do it like that. No,
you dug deep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, would it be that bad of a loss for him?
Woo.
Well, see, so here's what happens, Rocky, and we would have to look at, because I want to know who Southern plays out to Jackson State, because if they would lose that game, right, to Savannah, that means this team is really bad. And if Jackson State runs the score up on them, based off of what you're saying,
they would play Prairie View.
Okay, so that means they could be 0-4 potentially.
Headed to Nichols.
Yeah, well, 0-5. See that? So yeah, I'm not going to do. Yeah, there's no way I'm going to disrespect Southern like that. No, we're not going to do that here. Not on this show.
That would be one of the devastating losses in a long time.
And that's what I wanted to get. You know, a guy that doesn't know the history of Savannah State, knowing that Southern is a blue blood, is it that big of a loss?
It would be a huge loss.
Yes.
It would be a huge. Savannah State is not a good team. It would be a huge, and Southern, like I say again, I'm not. I tease Southern people. I got a lot of respect for Southern. There's no way Southern's going to lose this game. Southern's defense is too good. I guess I'll be shocked if Savannah even scores.
Is Savannah SIAC?
Yeah, SIAC.
Yep. SIAC. Yep.
Okay, gotcha, guys. So then we got Prairie View traveling to Northwestern State. Northwestern State was beat. Well, it's either the last year or the year before by Alcorn.
They didn't. I think their season got halted. They didn't win a game last year.
Right.
And I think something happened in their season. Somebody can check and talk a little bit about it. I don't know. Something happened where they only played like 6 games or something. A player died.
A player died. And he was real close to the coach.
Yeah.
And the coach ended up retiring or quit. But that Northwestern is another program. At the bottom of the Southland Conference.
Can y'all see that?
Yep.
I don't see it. Yeah.
But here's the thing. Let's all right. Now this is the converse of the Southern game. Prairie View can lose this game. This is the thing about it. I'm not saying they're going to lose it, but this is what's concerning me about Prairie View. They have got to win this game. They cannot mess around and lose this game. This is one of those games that you got to go in, win it, and move on. So, like I say, I don't think Prairie View is going to lose it, but I think they got more of a chance of losing than Southern has to losing to South Carolina, Savannah State.
What is classification in Northwest State? Aren't they FCS?
Yeah, they're FCS. They're in Southland Conference.
Okay.
Yeah.
They were Nichols, South Louisiana, Incarnate Word.
They're just not good.
No.
They're just not good. Okay. And then this is a money game, though Lamar does suck most of the time. I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming in this situation, does Mississippi Valley doesn't have a chance to win that game? Is that correct? But y'all agree with that?
No, it ain't bad. You know, Valley might show up. You know, I don't know. Lamar is one of those schools that's they probably gonna end up beating Valley 31-7, something like that.
And then of course this is a money game right here.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt upset somebody last week too. I'm trying to think who they upset.
Yeah.
They did. But I think did they beat Virginia Tech? No, not Virginia Tech.
Yeah, they did.
Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
You're actually right.
That's a big win. I mean, listen, it is what it's, and this is what's unfortunate for Alcorn. I hate, so they play UAB, then they play Vanderbilt. once again, other than getting a check, I mean, what do you get out of it? I don't like these type of games. I mean, nobody cares that they're playing. And the thing about it is not a game that they're going to even care about. It's Vanderbilt. You know what I mean? So, like I say, Alcorn. I don't think Alcorn. No. Let me say this. I heard my nephew, and them talking about they had issues with it. G said he wanted his quarterback just to go 5 for 9. That concerned me because I didn't get a chance to see the Alcorn game. So if they have that bad of quarterback problem, this game could get ugly.
Yeah, yeah. Now, Coach, you see teams play these money games all the time. Have you seen a team in recent history play those money games like that back to back, like Alcorn has?
It varies, but the biggest thing is to make sure you play them on the front end. So when you start your conference play, you ain't got to play one in the middle. So it's usually like that. I think, yeah, one year I played Louisiana Monroe and also played University of Connecticut. One year I played the University of Arkansas and Rutgers. So, it depends on where your program at. Do you need the money?
One thing I see here, and this is interesting. Of course, they got 2 money games, but then they got 4 patsies right in a row before they go to Grambling. So
Alcorn.
Yeah, they have Edward Waters, McNeese, Mississippi Valley, and Arkansas Pine Bluff all in a row.
That'll get them right quick.
You're right about that.
So they got that's interesting. And then the last one is I have no idea where Arkansas Baptist is.
Arkansas Baptist is almost NAIA. They should beat them. I know the coach over there. He barely makes it. It's just where kids want to go to play football.
Yeah. Guys, this is one of those. We got. The first week I thought was a great week of competition. This week not so much. To be perfectly honest with you. Next week will be. We'll really have a good game when we talk about Southern and Jackson State, but. At the end of the day, this week is kind of a downer for me. What do you guys think about this week?
Again, we played a lot of teams out of our conference. It's still kind of open week. Everybody that played the first week is still kind of open week. You've seen a lot of things going on, and it's expected. Everybody's got to make some adjustments. The good coaches, they're going to make some adjustments. They're going to evaluate the film like I was telling you. The players, I think, should play better, and then you go really, really tell and we start really seeing who's being coached and who's not, who's done a great job in recruiting and who's not. It will thin out. The good one's going to continue to roll and win, and the bad one's going to fall off.
Let me ask you these guys. Instead of Grambling paying Tuskegee and Savannah State, would a home and home with, say, Hampton or Norfolk State or A&T be a better option moving forward? Not only for the fans, but I'm just talking about to create interest in HBCU football.
Well, let me answer that because that's not how that works. Those games, and look, those are lower level teams. Those are games to fill them so they can have actual home game. So that's why they put those games in there. So a home and home means you don't play at home. So again, Grambling will play like FAMU does and Jack State does, like what Jack State does with WC Gordon Classic. They need that other home game. So that is more of a home game filler for them to make money. So it's not about so much as the competition, because the competition games are, and Grambling, and let's be clear, Grambling plays people. They will play home and homes against people. But for a game like that, you're always going to see that. And like I say, every level of football is doing that. That's the reason why Vanderbilt is doing it, right? Why is Vanderbilt not scoring home and home against Illinois? They need a home game. So they said Alcorn come there. So every level does that. So I just want to be clear on why that's happening.
That's the new fundraiser as well. And those schools wouldn't play black schools at first, but then they start playing them because, again, not only they bring their football team there, they bring in their band, and they actually makes money off of bringing a black team to some of those major schools. I mean, because they'd be excited about seeing our bands. So for them, it's a win-win, and that's why we should be or try to get as much as money as possible.
Absolutely. Well, hey guys, Coach Cole, it's that time, Coach. This time it has really flown by. We got 2 hours and 44 minutes. With Bishop, I'll let you have final thoughts, and then Coach Cole can take us out.
You know, the HBCU football season is here, and I just want to say this to all my internet nieces and nephews, the young ones, not us old ones. Y'all need to calm down on social media, because we all are HBCU brothers and sisters. You can support your teams, you can love your teams, but some of this vitriol that's going back and forth, it shows a level of cowardness because you're doing it behind the keyboard. Let's, bring the temperature down. You can root for your team. You can talk bad about FAMU. You can talk bad about Southern Jack State. But once we start going below the belt, it's not what HBCUs are about. I didn't grow up with that. We had intense rivalries and things like that. But when I met somebody from other school, that was my brother, that was my sister. So I'm going to try to pass that down to the young people, because, again, you guys are doing way too much on social media. And a lot of you, and I'm going to call all of you all out, until I see you all cutting a check for your school, then you really need to stop speaking for your school. So I'm going to challenge you all. Cut that mess out, because you're making all these schools look bad. And nobody from FAMU hates Jackson State. Nobody from Jackson State. Real people, real Jacksonians, real Jackson State Tigers, real FAMU Rattlers don't hate. Same thing with Southern. Southern and Jackson State, they hate each other. That's what they say. But let me tell you that I grew up in that rivalry. I saw that. And guess what? Those people respected each other, and they played hard. The bands did everything. So for the young people, because you all utilize this way more, I'm just saying, for you as your big uncle, please, let's calm that down a little bit, because you're starting to embarrass yourselves.
Oh wow! Well, coming to it's football season, Coach, and it's here. And guys, it's also voting season. Next week, we got the debate against Harris and Trump. Again, you got to vote for the young people. Guys, don't believe the hype. Do your research on who you want as your president. Believe me, one is for the middle class and one is for the upper class. All right. Find out what Social Security is. Find out what health care is. Find out about taxes, who get taxed and who don't get taxed. So make sure you find out stuff. Stop going around saying that Trump's a great businessman until you find out. I don't know, but I have my opinion because I've seen his documentary. I've done my homework, and I'll keep my stuff to myself. But find that out. Just don't go and because the guy got money. You got to understand that when Trump was in the 8th grade, Trump had $2 million as an 8th grader. So he's lived with money all his life. Kamala Harris, on the other end, had to work like most of us and come from a single family. That might not mean nothing. And you're right, it might not mean nothing to you, might not. And I'm not saying that it does, but make sure. Again, I want to thank all the players that I've coached. I want to thank all the coaches that I've coached with, especially these two guys that I work with. I really, really want to special thanks to AJ Johnson, who got me started back in 2022 on my birthday of coming on the podcast for the first time in my life. And he only done it because when I was a head coach, I gave him an interview. And I really didn't know who he was, but I want to thank him for getting me out the couch. And now I go from the couch to TV, man. That's what America's about. And believe me, I had some rough times in this business, losing my job as Texas Southern University head coach, which was my alma mater. But that's the fleas that come with the dog. So in saying that, if you feel yourself at the end of the rope, as I always say, tie a knot and hold on tight, because ain't nobody bad like you.